either need more elaboration or have to be illustrated better than what we have done so far. Anybody would like to comment? Or I will do cold calling. Megha, what is your suggestion or observation? Megha, do you have to say anything? Vaibhav? Please switch on your video so I can see you, and then we can talk and get some feedback from you and also some suggestions or any comment that you might like to make on the topic that we have covered so far, or the one that we are going to cover today about the policy changes. What are the policy and institutional implications of technological change if we want to bring about outreach of our technologies for community level application or even small industries? How do we modulate the policy changes? So anybody would like to comment, suggest, make observations? Go ahead. Abhirami, Sravanya, Dhananjay, Rehmat, Anup, anybody? Satya, Rigzin, Bagrata Singh, anything, any comment, any observation, any suggestion? Please switch on your videos. Please switch on your videos. It will take a few minutes for others to come up, but by the time those who are already here, I would like to benefit from your comments, suggestions, observations about what we have done so far and what we are trying to do to the projects. And now, some of you have sought clarification about your project topics. I have already replied, I think all of them. In some cases, Anamika and I have jointly replied. So if you have any question about any of those things, you can also ask that. Anybody?
Sir Gupta sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yesterday I was talking about some CO gas leakage, sir. After your view, again I thought about the thing. It comes under societal, sir, because in mines, coal mines, there may be a chance of leakage of gas. If such system we can collaborate over there, it will be useful for the total community who are working over there, sir. It's my feeling, sir.
See, if you are saying that miners who go into the coal mine need to have toxic gases, sensor for toxic gases so that they can...
No, not only I'm talking about employees, sir, in and around the community.
Uh-huh.
So,
no,
whenever
there are
such thing happens...
So there are air quality sensors, all right? Now,
okay.
there are already available air quality sensors. You might have seen even in Delhi and some other cities, there is
Yes.
a regular update. Every hour you get, or every, but at different frequencies, sometime hourly, sometime 15 minutes, you get update on air quality. So
Yes, sir.
so therefore, these exist already. And I mean, these are useful, very useful. And they should be available in all cities, in as many locations as possible, because people should know what kind of air quality they are having and what effect it may have on their health. So I'm not denying that. My only suggestion is that if you take up a problem which common people can use, make it so affordable for them.
Yes,
Or
sir.
attach a device to the normal phone. Even poor people may not even have a smartphone, but a feature phone. Maybe it can take little power from the feature phone and give them some feedback. It's possible.
Actually, sir, it is completely based on automation, sir. Whenever such
No.
gas
Automation
really...
is only possible. Automation will be possible, which will involve collection. First of all, sensing the data, collection, processing, and then, of course, interpretation, and then communication. All these steps are involved in automation system, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
That is only possible for government, or I mean some state, or somebody to do at a larger organization. Municipal corporation may be able to do that.
Yes. Yes.
Or some other. And they already air quality monitors exist which perform this function, isn't it?
Okay.
So my suggestion, I'm trying to persuade you to look at the problems that the common people face, whether it is miner in a mine, or it could be iron workers, it could be shop floor workers. I don't mind that you should only only look at the problems of rural. Even it could be urban workers
Yes,
also, and
yes,
if you can help them to gauge their intake of either particulate matter or other gases, and ask them some, and let them know as to what impact it is having on their longevity, on their health, if they can do them. There's a GM counter which helps in atomic energy plants. People can see how much radiation they have absorbed, and when they cross a
yes,
threshold, when they cross a threshold, they are taken out from the active zone to the passive zone, and they can no more work in that zone because they have reached the limit of human absorption of radiation. Now, if something of this kind is there for workers so that they can be moved away from the polluting environment, after a limit when they have absorbed enough pollutants, then perhaps it might be very useful. I mean, a simple
okay,
sensor
okay.
card, you get the point. Something which
Thank,
which will improve the life of the workers surely should be
okay,
done.
sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any other observation, any other suggestion, any other comment? Please go ahead. Switch on your videos, please. Switch on. Yes. Divya, you have any observation on the sessions we have had so far, or anything that you feel should get more time, less time, comment, anything that you want to say? Your turn. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Just a minute. I'm listening to Divya, then I come to Siddharth. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Divya, what happened? Instead of unmuting, you have muted your video also. Go ahead. Siddharth, you can go ahead now.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, actually, I just want to ask you, for the presentation, can we do it on the SDGs?
No, presentation you can do whichever way you wish. That is not a problem. You can do on PPT, or you can do on a screen and then focus the camera on that. Whatever is convenient to you, not a problem. It's your
Okay.
choice. Even. Or if you want to make a film on your project findings and share that film with us, and by all means, you should use whatever format you want to use for your report, for your presentation. That's not a problem.
Okay. And sir, for the
Sometime to show the problem which you are trying to address, you might like to make a small clip of 15 second, 20 second, so that everybody understands what problem you're trying to address. That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
right,
Yeah.
sir.
But time should be kept in mind. We should have 8 minutes for each person. That is how we worked out. And 2 minutes for any comment that we have. So 10 minutes for each person. Each group. I'm sorry. Each group.
Yes. Sir, for the unmet needs, one topic is there in my mind, sustainable development goals. So
that is too broad. It is too broad. Take something specific. There are 17 sustainable development goals. They cover entire universe of the universe, So then you must take very precise, supposing you want SDG 17 or SDG 5, take one specific SDG, then in that take one specific dimension, and then take that one particular location where the dimension has to be studied and solved. You cannot solve it for the whole world in a time that we have, So
right,
you
sir.
can be focused.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else has any comment?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is Sudeshna from ACSIR-Unmet, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, for our project, can we choose 2 to 3 pond, and we can give water contamination of the water and some solution for that?
So, Dashna, monitoring water contamination by itself will not constitute a project. But yes, if you have some remediation method which communities can use.
Yes, sir.
All right. Because if there is a large pond, to remedy the pollution in a large pond would not be easy for one community, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But
it will require municipal cooperation. It will require maybe urban authorities. It may require a large number of actors, because there may be agencies or actors who are releasing the sewage in the tank. There may be some other sources of contamination. So you have to look at the sources of contamination. You have to look at how do you stop them, and then you remedy it and make it clean. So all of this requires considerable effort. You want to put that effort, by all means, you can do that. Why not?
Okay,
But
sir.
it should be meaningful. I mean, it should
Yes, sir.
not
Actually,
end at just identification of the problem, because we all know how contaminated our water bodies are. You can take a specific case and try to find a remedial solution. Yes.
yes, so that is what I was thinking. Any industrial areas, pond, or any town, particular close by pond, we will select and we will give something on that.
Yeah, because you know that there are aquatic plants which help in some cases. Water hyacinth, for example, is found abundantly in many lakes.
Yes, sir.
It has an advantage, it has a disadvantage. It affects oxidation, but it also mobilizes a lot of iron and other elements from the water. So you can see how by processing some of the aquatic weeds, you can clean the lake if you think something of that kind, whatever. But you can look at something less obvious, something that has not been done much, so that there's some novelty in your project.
Okay.
If it is more of the same, then what is the point? I mean, your life is precious. I would like the precious time to be spent on something very meaningful, isn't it? That is
Yes.
how. Yes, Ashmita.
Hello, sir. This is Ashmita from ISCB, Kolkata.
Yeah.
So, actually, I want to confirm something. We are facing some doubts actually. It is we are supposed to write one synopsis before we present, right? Will it?
Yeah, go ahead. No. Synopsis is what problem you want to take up for the project. So the presentation that we are having in 3 days are of the problem that you're addressing, how you are addressing, what you intend to do. After that, you will submit your final report after doing that project, isn't it? So you can't finish project in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. Is that clear?
Okay, sir. After presentation, we are supposed to submit the synopsis. I mean, the report.
Full report. That's right.
Full report.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So we have made a group of 8 individuals. We have made a group here in our institute.
8 is too many. 8 is too many. Either make 2 groups, maybe 4 and 4. So that just now I got a mail from CFTRI. They had 12 students or maybe 16, and they made 4 groups, which is fine. And they sent me the topic and I give them feedback just now. So you can make 2 groups maybe. That might be better.
Sir, actually, we have already started our work. So can we do that? Actually, we all have, given our intellectual ideas there. I mean, we all.
What is the problem? What is the problem you want to work on?
It is actually we are thinking of some biofertilizer addressing. Using cyanobacteria. So
my suggestion is, a lot of work has been done on cyanobacteria. You know that, isn't it? Now, there are 8 people. So if you are looking at different populations or samples from different sites, which are organic matter rich sites, and you want to isolate different organisms which will be then processed into biofertilizer, by all means do that. But then there should be work for all the 8 people to do, isn't it? You will agree with that. Or you can divide it into different stages. 2 people do sampling, 2 people do culturing, 2 people do the identification, 2 people do then screening of them. Something like that also can be done. But please do try to divide the task and make it robust enough so that it looks like that people have worked on maybe 10 cultures, maybe 12 cultures they have identified. Now there will be many more which will be there. So task of isolating 8 or 10 will also be very huge. So I do understand that will require a bigger team. So divide the task like that.
So if we do it in that way, I think that will be fine. If you are
can
saying
present
so.
your synopsis, how many sites will you survey? And then how many samples would you take? Some idea of a methodology that will be very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah?
How do we select the date when we are going to present?
You can present tomorrow, or you can present on, was it not 29th that we decided? The second The second day?
I do not know if there
One
is
is
any more
23rd,
update
one
about
is
it.
tomorrow. One is tomorrow. Second day is 29th. I think all of us discussed that 26th, 27th, you had your foundation day activities. So we decided on 29th. And then third is October 1st. These are the three
So
dates.
if we go for 29th, sir, do we have
That's
to
fine. That's
mail
fine.
or
But my suggestion was that you should maybe circulate. There is already a form given. In that,
Yes.
if you give the date also, that will be helpful. We will then know there should be a reasonable distribution of some people tomorrow presenting tomorrow, those who are already ready. Some can present on 29th. Coordinate among yourself, maybe in the group share. Maybe one of you or two of you or three of you can coordinate who will present on 23rd, who will present on 29th, who will present on 1st. I will leave it to you, coordinate. Can you do that, Ashmita?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Take
Thank you
some
so much.
lead and
One more.
take some lead and organize yourself into some way in which you can do the scheduling. All right.
Okay, so I have one more question, last question, sir. In the Google form, we are supposed to give our group number. So,
It's not group numbers. There is a group number. Yeah. So there's a one group, and we are realizing that when you give the group number, if you have already been allotted group number, you can give the same number. That's not a problem.
no, we have not been given any such thing. So, if we do it like our institute name, I mean CSIR, ICB, and 001 or something like that, will that do?
At this moment, you can do that. We will try to put them sequential number later on. Maybe we can do that. I mean, we realize that the auto generator may not work very well. It can give a serial number. So we will try to see whether auto numbers are generated or not. And if it is generated,
Okay.
then the serial number will come. And that may also be all right.
Sir, and the abstract, if we are 8 people are working in this project, so we all will write the same abstract.
No, yeah, there will be only one abstract, but you will have to identify the roles of your team members, who will do what.
Okay, okay, sir.
And please try to make it robust enough. I mean, it should be impactful. All right.
Okay. We'll try our best. Thank you so much.
Anirban?
Hello. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead.
Yes, sir. What I was asking, in last class, we discussed we need to give a synopsis of 2 pages, or rather, the minimum is 2, or whatever we can make it. So, in which mail ID we need to send it?
You can send it to anilg@gyan, not a problem, or anamika@gyan, whichever. That you can use any one email.
Any one of it.
Yes.
And sir, the presentation will be taken over by
All right. Just a minute. Rageshri, can you create an email ACSIR@gyan.org, something like that? Can you do that today?
Okay, sir, I will do.
So let us use it. Then she will confirm in the next 1 hour. ACSIR@gyan.org. Let us create so that it doesn't mix up with my other mails. So let us see if we can do that. So all correspondence about this codes will get in one place. It will be easier for us to organize the information. So Namika, can you do that in next hour? That will be very helpful. Yes, Manjunath.
Thank you, Professor Anil. Thank you for your nice sections and interactive things. That was the most likely part I had. So regarding the presentation, I have a small doubt actually. So, whether it should be the idea presentation or the model presentation?
It is a plan of work.
Okay, and mostly like methodology.
Yes, so you have a problem that you want to solve, a societal problem that you have identified. How do you want to address it? Okay. And I will come to, sorry, Vishwajit, I'll come to you. I have no problem with 25th, 29th, and 1st. I'm sorry if I said it tomorrow. I can correct myself. I'm sorry about the mistake. Rageshri, please put the dates as 25th, 29th, and 1st October. I think it's good that you reminded me. Rageshri? And Prabhat, if you're around, then please circulate the date. 25th, that is Sunday. 29th at 5:30, Sunday at 5:30, and then 1st at 5:30. I'm sorry about it. There is no presentation tomorrow. There is only on 25th, 29th, and 1st. My mistake. Yes, go ahead, Manjunath. So is it clear that you will?
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
I understand. So if it's
Safia?
some,
Sorry, go ahead. Manjunath?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
thank you. So if it is like, if I'm doing some low cost lens design or microscopic design, something like that, I should present the lenses to you, or I should present just the idea which has been not.
See, let me put it this way. You know about foldscope?
Yes, sir.
So now if you are developing a solution which is in a way better quality,
Okay.
low cost,
Okay.
and easy to assemble,
Okay.
more easy than foldscope,
Okay.
by all means, most welcome.
Thank you.
You know,
I just want to address the same problem, like school children, that microscopes we basically
so
don't
you
get
have
it.
a foldscope, you have a benchmark of foldscope. They do anything which is better than foldscope.
Sure. So we can improve the aperture, we can improve the focal length, we can do that particular.
But do that within the ease of management, because more features you add, it may become more complicated for assembling, isn't it?
Correct.
You decide.
Sure.
But it's a good idea to get low cost microscope for every school, government school particularly.
Yes. That was one societal unmet problem
Sure,
I have just.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Safia. Yeah, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Good evening to all. Thank you, sir, for these sessions since long. Like, we learned a lot from here. We got many ideas related to the societal problem and how we exactly execute in a proper manner via coordination and bringing up the new concept that could help the society in a better possible way. Sir, my query is related to the presentation, the time hour which we will be getting for the same, and do we have to present in a group or we have to present as a volunteer of the group, and how we
Yeah. Safia, my suggestion is, this is your choice. Group can say there are 4 parts of the project, each one presents for 2 minutes, one part, another person present 2 minutes, or you can delegate this task to one member and that member can present on behalf of the group. I leave it to you. The freedom is entirely yours. You decide how you want to present.
Fine, sir. For example, we'll select a problem. Then we have to actually know what would be the possible solution for the problem. For example, if we are in some site with some problems we are actually facing or the society is facing at a large, then do we have to personally visit the place? And for example,
ideally, if one of you has first-hand experience of the problem, that is always good, because then you can bring authenticity. You can bring that personal touch to the issue. So at least one of you knows the problem intimately. That will be always very helpful. If none of you know about the problem much and only you have used secondary information, that might not be as good. But time is limited. I do not know what best you can do. Maybe you can telephone some people in that locality where you want to work for and get some information.
I'm telling, for example, if we will click some videos out there by talking to the people around how they are facing it and what is the possible remedy they can bring also, because it's not only the weak people who can at this level. There are many people who are at different levels. Their views also add up.
If you address the problems of women or vulnerable women or children or elderly people, all the more important, because these sections sometimes get neglected. So please feel free to choose the problem of the needy people who may get neglected in an ordinary circumstance. And only when group like yours, which is conscious of this neglect, wants to work on a problem they are facing within the domain of yours or maybe beyond the domain. That's up to you. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck. Yes, Megha.
Yes, sir. Actually, so am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, sir, I want to discuss about my topic for this project. So, how about the survey about the survey and awareness about this cancer would be the topic for the same. So, what do
No,
you?
I would not encourage you. There is a lot of cancer survivor society. There is a cancer society. There are a lot of people working on this awareness. Every hospital has a program on awareness. Which lab are you from?
CSR NCL.
NCL. Yeah, my suggestion is take some problem where your skills can be utilized. I mean, you can take either you can take some indigenous foods or indigenous wheats or indigenous crops. resources which you can analyze in your lab and give feedback to the community, or you have you can take up any other problem. Say there may be a problem of waste somewhere which you can analyze and give feedback to people that look, you should take this precaution because it can cause this hazard or that hazard. Or you can take, I remember there was a person in NCL, Premnath had organized my interaction with some of the incubators. You have a very large number of incubators. And one of them was working on pesticide residues in vegetable. And with a single wash, in a very low cost solution, something like 80 rupees liter or whatever, and you mix 10 ml in a liter and then wash it, and all the pesticide, 90% pesticide, will be removed from the surface. Now, that was a very good solution, low cost solution, very effective. Anybody can use it. All of us are suffering from pesticide residues. So, if something of this kind, which is very practical, which will not take too much time, and maybe on a few weekends you can do that project. If you can take up something very practical, something would not take too much of your time, but at the same time, it is meaningful, would be very nice. All right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Momita.
Hello. Hello,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
I think good evening. Yeah, I'm Momita from CSI Whispers. So I had few questions. So first of all, I think is it tomorrow the first date or 25th
No,
the
25th,
first date?
25th, 29th, and 1st. I am sorry
Okay.
for the confusion.
No,
25th,
okay.
29th, and 1st. No confusion now.
First. Okay.
Yes.
Sir, the second question is, we are five students, but we two have common idea and we want to present together. Is it okay? I mean,
You mean to say two groups or two individual?
no, two individual in one group, and I'm not sure
Fine.
about the
That's
rest.
the
So
problem. No
fine.
problem. Absolutely no
Yeah.
issue.
Also, my third question was because since we are from a science communication institute, and we don't basically, sorry, we don't we don't produce any innovative product, or we don't work in a wet lab. So what we want to do is like we want to communicate, disseminate,
No,
innovative.
yeah, my
Yeah,
suggestion.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Either you want to work on identifying the unmet needs of a particular group. I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
Dr. Sangal at IIT Kanpur, he talked to some Tanga workers, Tanga, operators. Horse Tanga hota na Tanga. So unse usne baat ki. So there he came to know a problem that the horseshoe expands every month, and the iron horseshoe that they put on the horse hoof of the hoof expands, and the horseshoe gets worn out, and after some time it starts hurting the hoof, and they wanted some material, some kind of iron horseshoe which will not wear out so fast. So he did the material science research, found out which material, low cost material can be found, and then told them how to forge it into horseshoe. And then he demonstrated to them that now the life of this horseshoe has expanded. Now, why did this happen? Because he identified the problem. So supposing you identifies the unmet needs of a particular working class or working group, let us say, and you identify 25 such needs for which solution have to be found. Your presentation is to circulate that 25 need to everybody, all the entire class of ACSIR, and maybe some of them, if not in this project, otherwise might like to change their topic and say, look, I will work on what Momita is telling us. That seems to be more important than what I was thinking. So you might, in fact, influence the choices of other 200 people, which is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, great. So we were actually thinking to utilize those, podcast videos to communicate. So that is what we were trying
I'm
to
saying that a podcast on general topics on which sufficient content is available doesn't add much value. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to either look at some challenges for which policies need to be modified, let us say. Take the case of anemia. For anemia, there are many solutions. Some people suggest iron supplement, some people suggest iron vessels to cook, some people suggest leafy vegetables. There are different solutions available, right? and you can work out the feasibility of different solutions for. Morangitam is singing song, so I have muted her now. So what I'm saying is that if you can find out, but Morangitam, if you want to sing after that, after listening to Mamita, I won't mind if I will give you 2 minutes to sing, because that will be making wonderful change of topic, and we will all get refreshed by you. Seem to sing very well, so I'm going to come back to you. You will have to sing now to everybody. So Mamita, my suggestion is that if you can take up something more substantive, more impactful, which may lead to research by others, if not you. You understand? So either you can generate feed forward, or you can generate feedback. Take up some technologies that CSIR has transferred to people and generate feedback from the users. That also is possible. And then suggest the policy and the institutional changes to make this solution much more widespread. Because not everything can be done by technologists, Sometimes there are some incentives required by the government. Sometimes there is some facilitation required by district administration. Now, who will ask those questions? Who will provide that insight? You should be providing that insight.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think, so we don't have the form actually. If we can fill up the form, and I think we won't be available after 25th. So if 25th can be a priority.
You can be on 25th. You can do that on 25th. So
We
the
will email
email
you.
is acsir22@gmail.com. acsir22@gyan.org. It is already mentioned at, no, you mentioned it to everybody. Let me mention it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So ACSIR 2022@gyan.org. And if you don't get response within 24 hours, send a mail to me also. Yeah, but most 99% you'll get a response, just in case. And Ragesh, you should send me the password also. So that, yeah. So Bhagyashri, Mamita, your question is answered?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Bhagyashri?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, we have attended lots of all the lecture, and we are grateful to have you as our guest. So, sir, my question is, we are actually everybody is giving presentation about unmet need. So, is it possible for our group to present on impact of academic on pandemics and after the school and school colleges? What's the situation of people? Can we do that?
What is your background? Which lab are you from?
Sir, I'm from CSR NCL Pune, sir.
NCL Pune.
Yes, sir.
In NCL Pune, everybody wants to do something other than chemistry. That's very nice. I'm very intrigued by this. See, one of the problems we were talking the other day was that many of you use PET bottles for drinking water.
Yes, sir.
You use multiple times.
Yes.
If you can make an advisory on different kinds of PET materials that people use repeatedly and the harm it causes to them, and they are not aware. And so many people in our group itself here, right in this group, are doing the same mistake. Correct? Other day I saw one of you doing that.
Okay.
So my suggestion is, tell people that there is a triangle in which there's a number, and what is the meaning of, no, these things are available on net. But what is not available is that the consequence of that for health, and maybe there are studies done in India on the compounds which are leached by these kind of plastic containers in dry matter and wet material and lunch boxes and all of that. Our children use plastic lunch boxes. I mean, how many of us know what impact that lunchbox has on the mental or physical health of that boy or that girl? We don't know that, isn't it? So if you can review literature, and maybe if you want to do some testing, that's up to you, and share that, it will be very, very useful for the entire class as well as for society at large. Somebody must do that, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So my suggestion is, do something which adds to our knowledge. When we put it up on or you can also share on your blog, you can also share on the social media, Facebook. I can tell you, you will get very good feedback, because most of people will say, oh, we didn't know that. And actually the fact is that many of you don't know that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sir, very nice insights from you. Sir, my second question is how many slides and what time you will provide for us to present?
Prabhat, are you there? Generally, we give at least a month, but if more is required, let me know.
Yes, sir.
Prabhat, 1 month is okay for time for completion, or we can give more time?
No, sir. 1 month is okay, sir.
So 1 month I'm suggesting for finishing your project. But if somebody needs more time, please do mention that. And in specific cases where the work that you're doing is so much that you cannot finish in 1 month, do request.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Pratibha?
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm Pratibha from ICMR, Dibrugarh. So I had a question that's that synopsis and report both will be sent after the presentation, or a synopsis should be sent before the presentation?
So obviously, the synopsis is plan of work. And the report is the outcome of the work. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So synopsis you are presenting now on either 25th, 29th, or 1st, which is what you want to do. And the report will contain what you have actually done. From future indefinite to past perfect. That's how I will say. Synopsis is future indefinite in some sense. And the report will be past perfect. You understand? What have I done? That is past perfect. What I may do is future indefinite. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Good. Is it clear? I
yes,
hope
sir,
everybody, it should be clear to everybody. Okay. All
and
right.
sir, one more, the
Yeah,
abstract, the abstract which we will give in the Google form. So in that we need to mention the task of the individual person in the group, or
as far as possible, it is desirable because then it brings discipline. That's all. But please understand, if you wish to change your topic or focus of your topic after you do the study, write to me or Anamika, and we will be very sympathetic to that idea, because we realize that when you contact the community or interact with the community, you might want to bring small change in your focus, and that should be allowed and should be encouraged. So I would not come in the way if you wish to do that. But who will do what, that's up to you to decide and share. I think it will be useful to know that, so that there's no free riding. I mean, if you do still do that, how can it help? The idea is to get everybody engaged. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Ashwin. I think it is the last clarification. Yes, Ashwin, go ahead. And Amrita. Ashwin, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Sir, actually, I was confused on pinpointing on the topic of our presentation. So we have a few ideas. So pinpointing to what to do for this work, that we are having a little bit of confusion.
So if you send a mail today,
okay, sir.
On what, just like as I told you just now, that CFTRI sent me 2-3 choices for each group, and they said, "Sir, what is your preference?" And I gave them feedback. We will do that right away, if possible tonight. Otherwise, latest by tomorrow morning.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Amrita.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I am Amrita from CSI NCL. So, sir, we are 5 members in group. So we selected, sir, topic plastic waste management.
Okay.
Sir, you told last 2 days back in lecture. So we selected, sir, and we make some guideline subheading also, sir, like this introduction. And
okay.
So, sir, it is okay, this topic, plastic waste management.
Within plastic waste, I can tell you one thing. There are if you talk to the rag pickers any day in the morning, just one of you or two of you go with the rag pickers, you will notice that they don't pick up all kinds of plastic, correct?
Yes, sir. Only lunch box, plastic bags and plastic bottles.
Yes, sir. But they don't pick up laminated plastic. They don't pick up some other kind of plastic. Now, that is the challenge for us. Why the supply chain has not evolved for those kinds of plastic, because they are going to affect the environment anyway, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
They will
Environment
hopefully- Yes. So I would suggest that, and I'm intrigued by this because I have not read much on what are the technologies available for processing the plastic which rag pickers reject. So if you take up that problem, the rejected plastic waste, not the normal plastic waste which they are picking up, for that the value chain exists. But there is a problem, unmet need is, can they get value for the so far rejected? If you can either give some methodology by which they can make it processable, some technology which is low cost and which the rag pickers themselves can use the technology and give some material granules or something out of it to the next level of the value chain, that is even better. But if it is not done, then at least some research will be done on that problem which you will identify. But I really think that in the entire country, this is a very serious problem. Certain kind of plastic are not being picked up today. And we need to
Yes,
know
sir,
what.
we will go some places, PM, the municipal corporation and hospital gardens and tourist place. We will go and survey how they degrade plastic waste bottle like.
Yeah, that will be useful. That will be useful. And then you can give a kind of a value chain, what kind of value chain exists for different kinds of waste. And in some value chain, if some technologies are available in NCL or in our NIRI or some other labs, do mention that either biological decomposition or chemical decomposition or physical decomposition by making granules or whatever, or high temperature processing, whatever processes are there, pyrolysis processes are already there. People take oil out of plastic, isn't it? So think of what kind of solutions they can use.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, Sunita. Sunita, please go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So actually, me and the 4 members in our team, like we are 4 members in the group, and we wanted to work on geothermal springs. Like there are geothermal springs in the Kumaon region, but their temperature is not very high, and they are also not very known as compared to the springs which are in the other regions. So what we wanted to do is we have kind of identified some of the springs that even the people in that region don't know. So we want to collect the samples and calculate the the reservoir temperature and how they operate. So can we do that?
But what problem is it solving? That what temperature it is, people can feel it, correct? So if you tell exactly it is a 45.7 degree. No, what I'm saying is that mere measurement of temperature, does it solve a problem?
No, actually, but we will kind of we'll check, we'll see the other things on that
so what
location.
are the minerals in that water? What are the minerals in that water? Whether it has positive effect on health or negative effect on health, because some springs are preferred by people for taking bath for skin diseases because it has sulfur,
Yes, like
there
that.
Are certain hot springs which have sulfur and small quantity of sulfur, which people find is useful for their skin diseases. That's perfectly fine. That's a good idea if you can do that.
And also we wanted to know the surface temperature is fine. We can know that people can feel it, but the temperature which is underground, I mean the place from where the water is coming, that the reservoir temperature, we will calculate that, and we'd like to suggest that at some places there can be geothermal power plants that can be, we'd suggest a location that here this can be done. Of course we can't do that, but we can suggest actually that okay, this place is fine.
If you can think of some low cost heat exchangers by which you can generate energy from the hot springs using the heat exchangers, that is very creative, very good solution.
Sir, actually, we are.
Because many communities in those regions may have no source of energy, charging their phones. They may not be able to charge their phones. They may not be able to charge their batteries. So if you can use the heat of the spring, and there are heat exchangers available which can convert heat of stove. So then why don't you develop a small device which can convert heat of these springs into energy. That will be perfect. And these are low-cost devices available, but when they're available, but not too low cost. But if you can make low-cost solution, I would give you full marks on that.
Actually, we won't be able to do it in a month, and also the laboratories we don't really have.
पास सब कुछ तो है और किसी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वाले को ले लो ना अपने साथ में. Why don't you take help of some electronic person, somebody from CERI or some other institute of yours? Take help of somebody, electromechanical, electrochemical, or whatever. Take help of somebody. Mere measurement, what will it help, Sunita? That's the point I'm saying. If you can at least look at heat exchangers, all right, do a review of heat exchangers which can work at the temperatures at which this water is.
Yes, that can be done.
Try to do that. Work out a feasibility. You know, we were recently in Sikkim and at the part of Shodhyatra, and there we met the commandant Yadav of Sashastra Sena Bal. He raised two questions to me, among many others, but two are important for your question. One he said is, we don't have power many times and our people are not able to charge their phones. So I told him that there are heat exchangers available, chargers available, which can be attached to the surface of the cooking stove or furnace where you cook your food for the entire fort. And they have, large number of people are eating in one mess. So they have big furnaces. And if it can be attached to the surface of that furnace, it can convert heat into energy. But he was not aware. No, I'm saying that if you make available, what are the commercially available heat exchangers, or there are DIY solutions, how can you assemble your heat exchanger? You may not be able to assemble yourself, but you can put the designs of how to assemble videos and the circuit boards. That much you can put together.
Yes, so that can
So
be
somebody,
done.
after reading a report, if they want to assemble their own energy generator from the hot spring or hot source of surface heat, at least they can do it. Make that much you can do.
Yeah, so basically we'll have to make a model on how a person can do this.
Yes, and review what are the pros and cons of available heat exchangers.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Nutan.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm Nutan from CSIR-NCL. So I want to ask about one topic. How about survey on awareness regarding use of chemical skin product and impact on the human and environment?
Skin product, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Skincare product, cosmetics.
Yeah. Yes, cosmetics.
Well, a lot of work has been done on cosmetics. You know that. So, are you either you take the herbal cosmetic, because we know a lot about chemical cosmetic. We don't know much about herbal cosmetic because everybody claims to be safe, and yet they need some analysis. So, if you take herbal cosmetics, maybe some industry may not like, Patanjali may not like it. How do we care? Our interest is consumer. Our interest is society, not Patanjali. So please do the analysis of various products available, whether from whichever companies, big or small. And then if you can see whether they have any compound which can cause harm, by all means indicate that. That will be very useful. If you can also do some screening against, I don't know, cell lines. I don't know if you're in your lab, you have cell lines of these skin cells. Then you can even do some simple toxicity test against the cell lines. It won't take too much time, which is a very simple experiment actually. That will be very nice if you do that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Devika, if it is specific about a particular topic, then you please write to me because I don't want to take everybody's time for a specific discussing a specific topic. But if you have a general issue, please raise it. Devika?
Hello, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Sir, actually, I just want to discuss with our societal work program, sir. It's a specific one. So I'll write it in email, sir, then.
Okay, that's better. Savanya?
Sir, this is also about a specific topic
regarding... Write to me. Nikita?
Nikitra, sir.
Bolo.
Yes, sir. Actually, can we select the topic of CO2 utilization and also the awareness of to reduce the emission as a topic?
Awareness nahi lenge. Awareness ka topic nahi lenge. We will not take awareness.
Implementation of the work as a societal part in every local places we cannot perform. But
no. I'm not saying you perform every local place. What did I say? Nobody said that. Nobody can solve problem of every local space. But you can take one community one societal group segment, whichever segment you take, and address that problem. Some real user must be there of your finding. You understand my point?
Okay, so execution of the work, okay, it's supposed to be.
I mean, I'm saying I'm not asking you to take a global problem. Please take a small problem that you can address in whichever way you want to address, but which meets the unmet need of some segment. It could be anybody. It could be children. It could be.
Actually, sir, we are the chemistry background, and then if we are just targeting.
Do you know how many of us suffer from the chemicals that are used, whether it is in food, whether it is in containers, whether it is in our clothing, bleaching? I mean, there is nothing in our life which does not have treatment by some chemicals. And yet, now most of us don't know what is happening to us because of that. So if you can take up any one segment of our daily use products or services which we avail of and which have implication for our health and nutrition, particularly for poor people. Do you know that many poor people use aluminum vessels, Hindalium? You know that?
Yes, sir, in village, rural places.
Do we have a research? Do we have proper study? Maybe you can review literature on what consequences can those vessels have on the IQ and other health parameters of the poor people. It would be a useful study. They should know, isn't it? So do something which is meaningful. That's all I'm repeatedly saying. And you can do that because you understand materials. You understand the leaching power of these materials. You understand if you keep cold water, then how much leaching takes place. If you cook food in that vessel, then how much leaching takes place. You know all of that. And if you take sour product, then what leaching takes place. And if it is non-sour, then what will the leaching take place? I mean, you can take different possibilities and then tell people that, look, if you are doing A, B, C, D, this is the consequence of that. 30 minutes of cooking in a Hindalium vessel can leach so much of aluminum or aluminum oxide, and this can cause so much effect on your brain or on your cognitive functions.
Okay, sir, actually similarly as a survey part have been done already in NCL. So it's a part of the same thing.
Why do you want to repeat what has been done, Nikita?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying you that similarly we cannot perform here. So can we go for the food adulteration?
Yes, please do go ahead. Please go ahead. If you can give a small kit, perfect. Or if you can go beyond what is already known, that's all I will say. There's a lot of DIY kits available for food adulteration. You know that, isn't it? Go beyond that and give us more information about maybe some new things are being mixed up in the food which we don't know about. None of us knows about, and you have discovered that. Give us some information on that and create wider awareness on that. That is fair because that is something new that we don't know. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Priyanka, last question.
Yes, sir. I have to give you some context for my general question. So we have been, so do you know that manual scavenging is banned in India since 2000?
What is banned? What is banned?
Manual scavenging of sewage system and
Yes, it is banned. Of course, we know that.
Going on, you must.
And yet, a lot of people are doing it. Yes, correct. And a lot of social movements are working on that. Every year, many people die that, and there are robotic solutions.
There are a lot of campaigns also going on right now.
Yes, there is a lot of campaign going on. Yes. However, which lab? You are CSIO. So if you know that some people have developed robotic solution for cleaning the sewage.
Yes. But it's not being used at all.
No. We gave an award to one of the entrepreneurs from Kerala. This fellow has sold to many municipal corporations now. I think 70, 80, something of that order. Last year he had sold 25. So this year it might be doubled. And he's getting very good response. We gave him that fellow Anjani Mashelkar award.
But sir, that a person died just last month.
No. Please get the point. Don't confuse two things. Yeah. The solution is required in 3,000 municipalities. All right. Mm-hmm. And the robots that have been sold are about less than 100. So you are absolutely right. That problem is far too big. Municipal corporations are not paying attention. My only suggestion is this problem is already on the radar. And there are many social groups which are campaigning on this issue. And there are signature campaigns, there are letters to the parliament and government and prime minister. All of that is going on and should continue. I have no problem with that.
Actually, I came across a book, how in 2015, Germany like partnered with they signed an agreement with China, and they completely omitted this sewage blockage drainage problem, and they have written a complete book. Like there's a complete case study of how they implemented different like instruments like telescope based, camera based, satellite camera based manhole systems, and a high pressure system to unclog these.
Nice Jorat, if anybody is from Nice Jorat, they've also worked on that. They've also developed a machine which was shown to me when I was there maybe a year or two ago, where they have developed the technique of identifying these kind of blockages and ways of cleaning them. They've also found blockages and developed some internal robot which will go into the channels and try to clean them up. So there are some technologies available. So if you want to do a review of, let us say,
of how a case study of how a bigger like country and bigger population like China, how they implemented all
that is available in the book already, so there is no point in repeating that. What I'm saying is that if you can review the solutions that are available either in CSIR or outside, and put them together and with some critical evaluation as to which solution has what degree of robustness, which have been tried, what are the findings of the user trial of those solutions, and give an advisory to the Association of Sewage Workers, so that they can use your report and campaign with the government to get better facilities and better technology. That will be useful. So you can your report can be used by the activists and the NGOs and the Association of Sewage Manual Scavengers to go to the court if necessary and say that, look, these are the solutions available in the country. Why are we not using them?
So we should review the Indian market.
Preferably, but you can look at other solutions. The only thing is there is no harm in looking at other solutions. But our concern is that what are solutions available in India, if we are not even using them, then the question of using the imported technology will be less. But you review both. Please review both.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. We spent more than an hour on clarifying doubts. I wish so much of discussion would take place in every session, but you were keeping quiet for a lot of sessions, but doesn't matter. It's okay. Group number, there is a group number, but I cannot answer this question, Samya. My suggestion is you put whatever number you do, and then when there are duplicates in the group, one of you should change your number. That's it. As simple as that. Coordinate. If supposing you put 20, somebody else cannot put 20. They will put 21. As simple as that. I don't know how else can we solve this problem. Rageshri, did you put the serial number on in the auto option in the group number? So automatically the next serial number will come.
सर रागी अभी चली गई है.
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. तो वहां पर देख लेना, अगर उसके अंदर हम ऑटो ऑप्शन डाल सकते हैं ना.
ठीक है सर, मैं बता दूंगा रागी को.
बस तो कर देना, बात कर लेना. ठीक है. Otherwise you put whatever number you feel with the lab connect, and that is all right. We will manage with that. So NCL1, NCL2, NCL4, NCL5, something like that. And later on we'll give a serial number, not a problem. That may be the least problematic way of giving group numbers. Yes, Sayan Kumari, any general issue? General issue, not a specific.
Yes. It's a kind of general and also related to specific. I bit confused. Like if someone does not do only awareness but wanted to develop some model, it can be helpful in educating as well. Will the project proposal will be appreciated?
Let me put this way, that supposing you make a model for water budget, so that different communities, residential societies can work out a water budget of their campus or their community, their settlement, their basti. Well, if there is something which ordinary people can use and generate some idea about water, how much water is available for recycling, how much is for repurposing, how much is for cleaning, how much is for using as such, etc. I mean, that kind of a model which people can use is good. If it is model for public health department, then let them use it. What's the point? Then You may be doing that anyway. That may be your lab's work. So go beyond what you will do ordinarily in your lab and take up from problems which addresses society need. That's all I will repeatedly say. All right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, we are basically from seismology background, sir. So,
Which lab? Which lab?
CSR NGRI.
NGRI.
Yes, sir. So we just wanted to develop a model, just like a trafficking light system, where when people can just know about that, can get awareness about the how at what intensity the if some waves or above the amplitude, like above the threshold amplitude is there, could be dangerous. So just in order to, it's not about developing in a big scale, larger scale, but in a smaller model we just wanted to develop. So is it
My only
appreciable?
point is whatever you do, if it is going to remain on the shelf of your lab, then it is not worth the life and time of Sayan Kumari. Do you understand my point?
Yes.
Some user must be there. You should identify who can use your report and target that user group. Our purpose is to make useful work, something which solves some problem, not completely maybe. At least it takes the problem to one step ahead. So let us put this way. If you have, NGRI has maps of rocks, bedrock, and parent material and the soil conditions of different regions. And if you can find out, let me give you a very precise problem. Most of the dryland soils are rich in mineral, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, one of my long time dream, and I have not done any progress. So if you can help me address the problem, the growers of crop in dryland regions, actually their crops will have more of those minerals, correct?
Yes.
Because those soils are rich in those. If we can find out which are the patches for boron, rich in boron, which are the patches which are rich in copper, which are the patches rich in manganese, which are the patches which are rich in, let us say, iron, and in the form in which this can be uptaken by the crops, and then you can educate the farmer that, look, your crop is rich in boron, and boron is very important, plays very important role in arthritis. So then you can educate the health workers that, please understand, for people who suffer from arthritic pain, they should consume the crop from this region, this crop from this region, because it has very high content of boron. Now that is a damn good solution for giving more price to the farmers, using geological information, mineral information, and to the people who are suffering from that problem. Can you do that?
We'll definitely look into it, sir.
I can tell you, in a Bird Food Congress at MC, when Dr. Prakash was director, I had given a talk, and I mentioned that in Africa, when they tried to find why some regions had more arthritis and then less, they found that the local varieties of maize mobilize 4 times more boron than the hybrid maize. And therefore, the communities which were eating local varieties of maize did not suffer from arthritis as much as the communities which are consuming hybrid. Now, that finding I have not been able to, it must be about 15 years ago I gave that talk, but we have not seen such work in our country. And I'm sure you can do that.
We'll give a try, sir.
Please do that. And the Agriculture University is next door to you. You can take help from them also. You can find out which crops, dryland crops, which are the crops, all millets, sorghum, all these are dryland crops, maize. And these crops which are grown in dryland, some tuber crops, and these crops which are grown in dryland, if they take those, you have the map, so you can identify the pockets which are rich, much richer in boron and other things. And then give this information to those panchayats and this committee. Look, your food is a functional food. Don't sell it as a commodity. And tell the health workers, hospitals, that, look, if you want your patients to get well, ask them to eat, arthritic patients to eat the food from this block or that block. That is rich in boron. Something of that kind. You would have made a big difference and given an affordable solution to poor people, both consumer and producers. Right?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Nuri. Very last.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Norin Ashmin from CSIR East.
Yes.
Sir, I have a general query. We have to submit the synopsis in the form of a written document, or
Yes,
we
in
have
the
to
written
directly
form,
present
in the Google
yeah.
form that has been circulated to you, there is a column for abstract. Please fill that
Yes.
up. All right.
Okay, sir. And after that, we have to directly present the synopsis.
Yes, you have to
on the
present
date?
it. Yes, on the date that you choose,
Yeah,
and try to be brief and precise. And because in this abstract, you may not be able to use pictures or small video clips or whatever, which in your presentation you can do.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
sir. With that, that means we don't have to mail you a written synopsis
No,
document.
that form will have it. No, we will get
Oh,
all
yes.
these. Yeah, form will get into a spreadsheet, and I'll get this. We will get this
Yes,
spreadsheet.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
All right, all right, all right. So, friends, we'll come to the topic of the day. Unfortunately, I had planned to share a lot of things today, but we will not be able to do that. I can share these presentations with you later on, and you can then decide. You can read, and if any one of you needs clarification on some points, I'll be very happy to share. But what we're going to discuss today is, of course, yesterday I ended on this sentence, be a bee. What does bee do? Bee does cross-pollination, bee does acknowledgement, bee does gives visibility, bee gives voice to the people of to the ideas of the people, and bee also does sharing of the honey with people, so we should share benefits with them. That is general. So what we want to understand how can policies of our institutions, our country, our state government, our local provincial bodies, municipal corporation, how do we influence these policies in a manner that technologies that we are developing can have more inclusive outcome? I've shared this slide many times. I'm going to use that again today, just to remind you that our technologies can bridge the spatial imbalance gap. So Northeast, I'm at the moment in Jammu Kashmir, and tomorrow the women from Baramulla are going to present some of the traditional foods at Boulevard near Dal Lake. They have never been out of their home in a city for participating in a festival like this. This is the first time that they are going to do that. Now, what policies can be generated which will encourage promotion, consumption of traditional foods, so that such groups of women, for instance, which are in the bypass region, which are in the neglected region, can get more income, and the consumers can get more healthy food. Now, we obviously would need different kinds of inducements. So midday meal scheme can be one program where we can mandate use of some of the traditional foods. Why not? But nobody has done it so far. But why can't we do it? So like that, there is a policy change required to, there's a gap between what scientists know, what scientists say, what scientists do, and what government should do. Very little influence, unfortunately, scientists have on the policies and their impact on people. In some cases, they have high influence. For example, when Dr. Mashelkar chaired the multi-fuel policy for automobile sector, and you know that many years ago, 2 decades ago, there was a big controversy. Supreme Court had given a judgment that you have to phase out the fossil fuel vehicles in Delhi and so on. And there were activist group which were asking for a single fuel CNG. And that committee, with the evidence and with all kinds of data, showed that reliance on any single fuel, first of all, will create imbalance, will create security problem, because it will become the whole city or capital city will become vulnerable if there's any hazard or disturbance to that one particular source of supply. And they gave many other reasons why we should not have single fuel policy. And then multi-fuel policy was accepted. So there are cases where the scientists have made an impact on policies. Regional policies, sectoral policies, seasonal policies, social segments for which the policies are developed. For example, special need people. And for special need people, you need special devices, you need special facilities, and sometimes other sensors to help them. For example, for Alzheimer people, there may be a small device which can, if some of you might have seen the promotion of that device. If you put it on your hand like a bracelet, it reduces the fluctuation in your hand. Very interesting. What is it using? Electrical currents. In what way? It senses the normal movement of the hand, then neutralizes them by giving inducements to different nerves and tries to stabilize your hand. Wonderful idea for Alzheimer patient and for other people who have ataxia and other balancing problems. So there could be special need people. There could be a problem of malnourished children. There could be a problem of anemia. We have only, earlier we had 12% poverty. Now we have 20%, roughly around that, 18 to 20%. But anemia is 60%. Obviously, many of you who do not have any income problem also suffer from it. How do we address that? It's a gender issue. Why are we not able to solve this problem? Skills and knowledge, structure of governance. What is sometimes if you allocate, let us say, the facilities per population, per capita, let's say for per 1,000 people, 1 PSC. In high density regions, you will have many more PSCs than in low density regions because the norm is creating imbalance. Norm is wrong. In low density region, people have to walk longer distance to get the facility, and that is not viable. 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers, because population density may be 30% per square kilometer in rural Jodhpur, let us say in Rajasthan, parts of Rajasthan. Whereas in Eastern India, it will be 1,000 people per square kilometer. 1,000 people versus 35 people. How can the norm of allocating resources be same? For many cases, there is a norm is same. So that is a structural way of creating exclusion. And depending upon which policies you are interested in, you will try to overcome as many kinds of exclusion as possible. One of you were talking about education. You know that I gave that example before. I'm repeating it. Some of you may remember it, that during COVID, parents of 60% children did not have smartphones. What is the consequence? They were out of the online education. Did we care about it? Did you see any policy response to that? Did you find that pen drives with the content were being shared in those schools? No, we are trying to do that in our Shodh Yatra, but how many schools can we reach? Less than a dozen in one Yatra. Whereas government has a reach to lakhs of schools. It could have distributed pen drives with content, open source content, high quality content to all those schools, and the exclusion would be overcome. It was not done. Though I tried through Niti Aayog and through Secretary Education, School Education, Anita Karwal and so on, I tried. I failed. But the problem remains. So I'm just telling you that sometimes you have a solution, but that solution must be leveraged with appropriate policy levers. Sometimes you will succeed, sometimes you will not succeed. But our goal is to make our society not leave anyone behind. That is what declared policy of Government of India is. Leaving no one behind. That is the goal of United Nations, of Sustainable Development Goals, leaving no one behind. When we don't want to leave anybody behind, we'll have to find out how our solutions for water filtering, for air quality, for health, for education, for nutrition, for a whole range of things. How can these solutions reach the people for whom they are meant, but who in the normal course are excluded? So there's one framework that you have to learn, and you will have to analyze this in every single case of any policy analysis that you do, because this will help you to understand how solutions get delivered. So there are transaction costs involved. Transaction means a provider and a user. There is a transaction required between the two. What is the transaction? The provider's need must be met by a solution that, a user need has to be identified and met by a solution that provider has. But in this exchange, several costs are involved. So there are 4 costs which are ex ante. That means before the transaction takes place. And there are 4 costs which are ex post after the transaction takes place. The first cost is searching information. So user wants to know where is the solution available. The provider wants to know where is the user need, where I should go and target my solution. Both sides don't know each other, correct? So how do we bridge this gap? We create databases. And then within database, we can not only create internet database or the textual database, sometimes we make multimedia, multi-language database. I know only Tamil. You have a database in English. How do I access it? Either you put translate option and I can translate it and then read it. But I don't have internet. How do I get access to your database then? So you try and make it available at wherever every school more or less nowadays has a computer. You try to offload onto these computers so that these computers become hub for sharing all our open source databases with the communities around. That will take care of the internet problem. So if you are interested in reaching out, you will ask different questions. And when you ask different questions, different modalities will emerge. But these questions have to be asked. If you don't ask these questions, you will exclude somebody. You will only serve those who can reach you easily. But there are a lot of people in this country who cannot reach you. As I often say, they deserve you, but they cannot desire you. Those who deserve our services, those who deserve our skills, those who deserve our knowledge, how do we reach them? So first cost is searching information. Second is finding supplier. Who has that? Third is I have to negotiate at what terms should I provide this so that the user is willing to bear this term and the provider is also willing to provide that. Finally, we draw up a contract. Okay, at this time, at this cost, at this place, I will get this facility, and my responsibility will be as a user to give you feedback about this and this feature of this solution at this and this frequency or in format. So I have an obligation to give you feedback. You have an obligation to provide me solution, and there are some terms and conditions which I have to fulfill to be eligible to get your solution. If you do not meet these costs, somebody will be left behind, or some delay will take place, or some leakages will take place, or things will not get delivered. They will remain on the shelf. Now let us look at the ex-post transaction cost. So once you have terms of condition, you have to enforce them. Correct? So let us say you have developed a very simple solution for overcoming anemia. You are saying that use a ladle of cast iron. When you cook food in a vessel, whichever material vessel is, put the ladle of iron at least in the boiling curry or boiling dal. All right. But you have to also add some lime to make the iron which is leached available to the body. Now let us say the midday meal scheme or the government of India's scheme forgot to add this dimension, or people did not follow this. That means there is no enforcement of the addition of citric acid or some lemon in the leached iron that is available in the food, then I will not get as much benefit. The solution was good, technology was right, but in the enforcement, we failed to enforce it properly. Or somebody used steel ladle rather than iron, cast iron ladle. Steel does not leach. We did not specify cast iron maybe. So then enforcement will not take place rightly. So enforcement is the conditions under which a technology works or a solution works. Those conditions are being observed or not, we need to find out. Sometimes the terms at which we offered, the consumers or the receivers are not interested in using it. Let's say we gave some terms for royalty. Then came COVID. Now you have to give the entrepreneur 2 years gestation period, 2 years holiday. All right, we understand that your business was at a standstill or you lost some money. Don't pay. So any inducement or discount or extending the credit limit, these are called side payments. Those inducements or incentives which are over and above the original condition, which make enforcement possible. Third is conflict resolution. We are not able to arrive at the new understanding because of change in the market conditions, change in supply condition. You know that in last 2 years, the cost of iron has increased. And now the construction projects have become costlier. Many technologies become costlier. Recently, Government of India had come out with a policy, 18% GST on scientific equipments. You had a budget. Within that budget, you spent some amount for equipments. Now with 18% GST, that much of budget is reduced. 18% is huge amount. Earlier it was 5%. So then scientists represented. They said we cannot operate our research project. And I'm told that Government of India has agreed. The PSA office worked out that about 800 crore worth of burden will come on the labs. So Finance Ministry said, all right, we will supplement your budget by 800, but don't ask us to change the GST. We will compensate you for that. Okay, that is one solution. So conflict can be resolved sometime. Conflict may not be resolved. If conflict is not resolved, you have to redraw the contract. And that means you start the journey again. So these are 4 transaction costs, which are ex ante, 4 ex post. I'll stop here for a minute. Any one of you wants to clarify anything, I'll be very happy, because this is something that each one of you should know. It's a basic economics, but this much of economics, I think every scientist should know, because in any contract that you sign, any agreement that you sign, any MOU that you sign, that will involve these 4 costs. And in that context, whether while sourcing materials from your vendors or while providing your solutions to the licensees or to the community at large or to the intermediary organizations, these issues will come up. And if you don't address these issues, they will get passed on to the weaker partner in the chain, in the negotiation system, and the solution will not work very well. Any question by anybody, please? Anybody? Any clarification required, or is it all right? All right, if no question. So let us look at what are the innovative pathways to build up, and how do we deal with them? You know, the policies require constant learning. There is a innovation pathway requires that policymakers should get regular feedback, and the scientific institutions should generate data, should method develop pedagogies, some dev tools by which this can be done. Let me take a very, very important case of Swachhata Mission. In Swachhata Mission, toilets were to be built all over the country. You will agree that design of the toilet cannot be same in the regions where water table is very low or water table is very high. In the regions where even drinking water is not available, how would we get water for sanitation? Very high salt content. Or where water is available, but let us say the pits are not dug out properly, or the septic tanks are not designed properly, or whatever. Now, as a scientist, you would say, NGRI will say, we have got map of groundwater levels. Central Groundwater Board may also have. And we will tell you in which regions the pit toilets must be avoided, because they might leach the E. coli and affect the drinking water in the hand pumps, shallow wells, and so on. So what should you do? You should use either syntax tanks or plastic tanks instead of having non-cemented pits. Did that feedback emerge? No. So government, as it often does, they want uniform solution everywhere. So in some areas, the solution will work. In some areas, solution will not work. And the government will continue with doing their job. That's unfortunate. As a scientist, our duty should be that wherever our skills, our knowledge, our technologies can improve the performance of a policy, we should give feedback in a very polite, constructive manner. That, sir, if you did this or that, it might become better and people will benefit more. Now, policymakers may not have this knowledge. A bureaucrat may not know. Most of the bureaucrats would not know the relationship between the design, the seepage, and the water level, the requirement of the water, when the per capita availability of water is 20 liters, let us say, how will they spend 15 liters for cleaning the toilet? They need to wash clothes, they need to cook food, they need to drink water. If per capita availability is 20 liters, many parts of the country, how will they do that? So you need to design some other, you need to use some other designs, maybe ash-based, maybe soil-based, sand-based, some other design by which, like in mountains, you have deep toilets, deep latrines. So the question is, we have to constantly find out the niches for our solutions so that we can plug our solution in the existing policy, as we will see later, or we shape the policy to create demand for our solution. Both ways we have to work. And that's why scientists cannot say, my role is to just solve the problem in the lab, and that is not my problem. If whose problem it is then? The CSIR 800 is aiming at
আমি বাড়িতে মাত্রটা বলছিলাম যে অরুণার সাথে আমার মেন্টালিটি অনেকটা ম্যাচ করে কিন্তু তুই এই একটা জায়গায় থেকে বেরোবি কিন্তু স্টুডেন্ট নস যে স্যারটা বলতো সেটা
एक मिनट बलूना रॉय म्यूट कर दिया मैंने आपको कर रहा हूँ now it's okay. Please check your mic. Sometime by mistake it is on, then doesn't matter. It can happen sometime, not a problem. The second thing is policies are often ambiguous, and they help the entrenched groups, those who are benefiting should continue to benefit. I'll give you an example. Those of you who know about construction sector would know there is something called a Jantri rate. Jantri rate is the valuation rate of the land. In Gujarat, for example, the rates were not revised since 2011. Today is 2032. The price of the land has gone up by 4 times, 5 times, 6 times in many places. So what happens? When the people sell the property, they sell it at the Jantri rate, the declared revenue rate. What happens to the remaining money? It becomes black money. Government doesn't get tax on it. And it unnecessarily goes into other means. Very obvious answer is you should revise these rates every year. You don't. So there are sometimes policies designed to help maybe the construction sector, real estate giants or whosoever. And of course, you cannot question all those policies because that is beyond your purview. But I'm just giving an example that there will be gaps found. If you have a water treatment policy, I mean, there will be a way where you may do treatment at source or treatment at user level. About 25 years ago, 30 years ago, none of us used water filters. We took the tap water and took it just like that. This country, large number of us, 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, were using tap water. It was generally of that good quality. But kya ho gaya achanak? Everybody has to use water filter. Why? Why did we save the cost of providing good quality water at the water treatment plants? And we could have saved the people who cannot afford water filter. गरीब लोग जो मजदूर है उसको तो नहीं मिलेगा ना water filter, तो वो तो कैसे करेगा? How could they survive? So please understand that you may argue that, sir, we have a technology, just like IMT was saying that they have got ton capacity, several ton capacity of treatment also, right from that to maybe 10 liters. Now, in some cases, you have solutions which you can provide to the policymakers and suggest that please upgrade your treatment plant technology also and not just focus on the water filter. That would be a good answer. Policymakers ko writing mein dena hai choice. So they can't say that we were not aware. And once they still don't do, you have done your job, at least you brought it to their notice. So please understand that ambiguity of the policy it cuts both ways. It provides you scope for intervention, but it also provides you scope for indifference. It is your moral judgment whether you should use your agency, you should use your responsibility to intervene and educate the policymaker, or you should sit back and say, but mujhse to pucha nahi, main kya bataun. That is another way to do that. I am doing my job. आपको तकलीफ है तो आप मेरे पास आओ, मुझसे पूछो. Now, please understand, for social change, if all of us took this position, then we won't go very far. So my request to you is that don't mind. I'm not saying you become activist. You at least try and educate in a very constructive, polite, persuasive manner. You write to the secretary of the government. In some case, you can even write to the member of parliament of your region or MLA or whosoever. I would prefer to deal with the government channels, because bureaucratic channels, or collector or mayor of the city or municipal commissioner. That look, we have these solutions. You are facing this problem. We read in the paper. Can we help you? And if you wish, we are giving you a catalog of our solutions. Tell us what you need. We'll adapt to your need. That will be one constructive way of dialogue. Unfortunately, many of us don't do that, though we have solutions with us. And the challenge is that our solutions, large number of solutions that CSIR labs have produced, remain undeployed. And our society suffers because these solutions are not being given to them. You can, all of you as a scholar, young scholar, must try to change this. Your generation cannot sit back and just be passive. Our generation, or the next generation after me, or second, third generation after me, may have been a little indifferent. They were formal, but today the societal needs are becoming so serious. SDG goals are becoming so important. Government is looking for new ideas. They are also keen to learn. I think in such situation, the dialogue is possible. Sometimes the structure has to be rejigged. And to rejig the structure, you need to talk to many people. And you think it's a hassle. Why should I spend time in talking to 4 people, 5 people, and get this problem solved? मैं अपना काम करूँ ना. IDC Bombay Industrial Design Center, my friend with whom I also teach a course, Chakku Chakravarti, he's known for solving many problems. One of the problems he took up was that when Amarnath Yatra takes place, the palki is used by people who are not able to walk or who are very aged. And this palki is very heavy. So he, for some reason, caught this feeling. He wrote to them. Then the temple authorities said, yes, it is a good point. We would like you to design for us. And they designed. And it has saved the burden of the people who were carrying this palki. It has made their drudgery less, their life better, and cost is lesser, and these palkis last longer. And everybody's win-win situation. Nobody's suffering from this change in the design. But some steps had to be taken to persuade. And please understand, bureaucrats are bureaucrats. Sometimes they are positive, sometimes they are indifferent. Don't get frustrated. Don't get frustrated. It's our country, it's our society, it is our government, it is our structure. You can't blame that, look, this structure doesn't work. We have to make it work. And sometimes you will get frustrated in the short run, but don't give up. That's my advice. Persist. You know, in 98, somebody asked me, what did you do? I'll tell you the story of NIF. In 98, I met 5 secretaries to the government. I went to the Planning Commission, I went to Agriculture, Rural Development, Industry, MSME. And I was telling them that, look, we have this database of innovations, and I would like a national platform to be created so that what we are doing at a small scale can be done at a larger scale, and this country can benefit. Each one of them said, I'll give you a fund for pilot project. I said, I have done the pilot, and I have not taken a penny from government. I have done it from my own resources. And if 10,000 is not a good enough, tell me what number will convince you. Finally, one day I was talking to Mr. Gopal Krishnan. He was Additional Secretary in Agriculture. Later on, he became Election Commissioner. A friend, Mr. Patwardhan from the Ministry of Electronics, he knew Mr. Gopal Krishnan. He arranged my meeting, so I went there. After listening to me, he said, Anil, your problem will not be solved here. I know a bureaucrat who is a PhD in physics. He's in Ministry of Finance. I'll fix your meeting. You go and explain to him. Maybe he can answer the question. So he arranged my meeting with Dr. E.S. Sharma, who was at that time Expenditure Secretary. After I had already spent 6 months, but I was not going to give up. So Dr. E. Sarma was very busy, but he kept me waiting. And professors don't like waiting outside anybody's office, for that matter, secretaries, least of all. But marta kya na karta, I was desperate need. I waited. At one time, I got fed up. I said, okay, I'll leave now. So I was about to go leave. He came out of his office, got the message. Sorry. There was a delegation. I couldn't get them to leave. And please come in. He looked at the database on my laptop. By chance, absolutely by chance, I had no clue. There was one technology from a village in Visakhapatnam, which he hailed from. And he knew that C.V. Raju, who had developed Etikopakka village, village name was Etikopakka. And he said, how did you reach there? I said, you can ask this question about every innovation. All the innovations are from different parts of the country. And we have, through volunteers, figured out. And we go, and I told him about walks and all of that. He said, this is from my village. And I know C.V. Raju. He said, wait a minute. And somehow he got motivation. So he called up Dr. Kelkar, who was Secretary of Finance. Come for 5 minutes. At that time, this was December 98. But somehow he came and then spent an hour. And then I said, if you're not convinced, I'll come after 5 years. No, we are convinced. And they drove up to the minister. At that time, Mr. Sinha was the finance minister. Finance minister liked the idea. They asked me to draft a paragraph. It was put in the budget speech. In 99 budget speech, it was announced that National Innovation Foundation will be set up to do this, to make India a global leader in sustainable technologies, and this and then link formal and informal science and whatever. Then Kargil happened. War happened. Government was out of budget. But because the assurance has been given on the parliament, it was the budget speech part, minister said we'll have to do. I had asked for 200 crore, they gave 20 crore. Doesn't matter. With a corpus of 20 crore on 1st March, and I have got constituted. What I'm trying to say that the prior work, the empirical research had made a case, but that research was not enough. Now you can say, sir, supposing that evidence was not there, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe he would still have been convinced, not necessarily because there was a personal connect. Even all innovations were from some or the other village after all. Maybe I'm attributing too much to this by chance. There were other factors also responsible. But the fact that he had a science background and the fact that he was a researcher in his previous incarnation might have made some difference. He could understand that finding these innovations would not be easy from different parts of the country, and therefore a change took place. Now DST, now NIF is a part of Department of Science and Technology. It's a great granting institution. Whether I remain or not, NIF will always remain in the country and will continue to do it. This is the only country where we have a foundation for informal sector innovations. And you know that 4 presidents I worked with, all of them, President Kalam started the Presidential Award, then Mrs. Patil brought it to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, then Mr. Pranab Mukherjee brought the Festival of Innovation, then Shri Ramnath Kovindji made it into Festival of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Then it stopped. It stopped in the sense the festival stopped in Rashtrapati. It started moving to different parts and whatever. So it lost its grandeur, but doesn't matter. Some other current president, I'll again try, see if she can bring it back. But what I'm saying is, it's a continuous process. Today we are the largest provider of open source content. 131,000 innovations and traditional practices are available on India's website, open access. Out of 3.5 lakh bits of knowledge. Never before any country in the world had mapped the mind of informal sector, creative mind of informal sector. So we created a new benchmark. Now this is the D point, that when you create new benchmarks, new potential is unleashed. In 2003, we said microfinances for goods and services for which market exists. We should have micro venture finance. Again, I talked to the finance minister. Again, we got it incorporated in the budget speech. And the Macro Venture Innovation Fund was set up in collaboration with SIDBI. The money was paid back. We again tried last year, 1 year. We funded 24 innovators from Manipur to Tamil Nadu to Jammu Kashmir. Though it is not being continued, that's a different problem, but at least new benchmark creates new potential. There are many more policies which need to be changed. Today, for testing, there is no fund by which any innovation which needs to be tested, CMARI or other institutions will do it at no cost. Generally, they will ask for some cost. Some institutions have done it without cost. IIP, Institute of Petroleum with Dehradun, tested a lot of our stoves without any cost. In fact, many labs have had without charging any cost. In fact, all the scientists who we had MOU with CSIR, we had MOU with ICMR, we had MOU with ICR, and a lot of scientists were involved in evaluating these solutions, because before President gives award, we should have very rigorous process of selection. Not one award has been questioned. To bring that reward, and sometimes we have to validate for farming innovations, we have to get it, data by the multi-location trial, and not one scientist in the country has charged for his or her time to the NIF or Honeybee Network. Not one scientist has charged. In many cases, they said, don't worry, we don't need any money even for consumables. I have got enough money in my project, I will do that, don't worry. NCCS, National Center of Cell Science, Dr. Kundu, he was testing one of our anti-cancer drug. And he said, look, don't worry, I have enough funds. Malarial, ICMR's research center at Kolkata, they looked at one typhoid problem, and the authorship was given to the healer whose knowledge they tested, and we filed patent in US for that typhoid drug. And TKDL had opposed it, and yet we got the patent because their objection was found to be too general and overruled by US Patent and Trademark Office. All this was possible. So many people were helping us without charging a penny. The patent attorney in US doesn't charge us a penny. It costs about $25,000 for filing US patent. We have filed more than 8 to 10 patents already. 3 were filed in 2000, granted in 2003, but before, they were filed before NIF was formed in 98, 99 by Gyan. So we could get patents filed in US for people who are not even 10th pass in India. How did it happen? How did we get social capital, the support, voluntary support of so many actors around the world? Because of the cause. They saw it is not because of Anil Gupta, it is because people whom we were helping, they felt deserved their help. So please understand that when you do something with public spirit, and it is apparent to everybody that you are doing it with public spirit, you're trying to solve a societal problem, I can assure you, my dear friends, that you will get support from many, many quarters. Unexpected quarters. We have got support from people we didn't expect. How did I expect that an attorney will read an article in Economist about our work and then write to us and saying, look, we want to offer you pro bono help? How would I imagine that? I had no idea that something like that. It was pure coincidence. But such coincidences will happen in your life if your spirit is authentic and your cause is genuine and your solution is going to help the poor people or at least needy people in society, then you will find a lot of doors opening for you from unexpected places, unexpected levels. This is my life's experience that I can tell you, that it works. And it is not just in this case, so many cases it works. UNDP has 91 labs in 115 countries. I and Anamika taught a course to them, MIST, Management of Inclusive Innovation for Social Transformation, which is an adapted version of what we are doing in this course. And 115 countries. For 2 days last week, I was there at the launch of a film based on grassroots innovations. It is now available on Amazon Prime beyond tomorrow. Why would they hire companies paying billions? In this case, their partner, Hyundai, has paid the money for making this film. And they have taken innovations from different parts of the world, including ours, and showcased them around the world. A global outreach from G to capital G, grassroots to global. Why would they need us? Because there's no other place where they have so much solution available. So please understand that when you create a benchmark, you become a point of reference. Other people measure their performance by looking at your performance. When we found water on Mars, our camera made by Dr. Tapan and his team at ISRO was known to be the best resolution in civil sector camera in the world in the space sector. That is the quality that we had. That is why we could find, which NASA couldn't find so long, after so many missions. So there are areas where we can create global benchmarks and meet societal needs. And if you do that, then you will find solutions coming in. Today, if we don't take a break, is it all right? Because we have already lost a lot of time. Is it all right if we don't take a break? Friends?
Okay, sir.
Please, because this is the last class. I mean, I will not be able to cover everything, but still whatever we can cover. Now, here we are talking about some bureaucratic tensions, how to make a lion den into a happy zoo. There are sharks, there are lions in the society, and there are a lot of processes which need to be gone through for getting small change implemented. And we need new ways of working. I have argued, and I'm going to talk to the new DG again about this issue, that most CSIR labs, except in the aroma mission and a few other water mission, we did not have, our labs don't get money to do trials in the industrial clusters or in the field. When IIP developed, Dr. Anjan Ray and his team had developed this pan for sugarcane units, Khansari units. He demonstrated that you could save almost 30% energy or more than that. But only 3 units they could install. They didn't have funds to do it at larger scale. There are hundreds of Khansari units in the country, in different parts of the country. At least in each district, if we had done one, other units would have copied it, or at least would have asked for the technology. With only 2 or 3 demonstrations, you cannot really convince large numbers. Now, scientists will be blamed, the technology did not scale. How can scientists be blamed there? Because scientists have to find ways of getting it at large scale. Now, we have not articulated this gap in our ecosystem where the labs must get funds to demonstrate technology or to take up trials at large scale, particularly those technologies which are not too costly. Let's say 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh, whatever cost that, within that range. A lot of such solutions are there. Maybe 70, 80% technologies, maybe such which can be covered in that amount. Why don't you provide 5 crores to every lab for taking trials on the farmer's field or on the industrial field or wherever required in the slums, and show that in 50 slums or 100 primary health centers or 500 water treatment centers of different municipalities. There are 3,000 municipalities. कम से कम 100 में 50 में तो दिखाएंगे ना अपनी टेक्नोलॉजी का असर, तो डिमांड आएगी ना वहां से. So we have to find new ways. In agriculture sector, we had an extension wing. Research, education, and extension, these were the 3 functions. Somehow in CSIR or ACSIR, we still don't have extension wing. Through this course, little bit effort is made to reach out, but that is very limited, only 1 month. You need full-fledged effort of many people for many years or many months to help reach your message out. Some of the labs have done well, like as I said, because of aroma mission, the CMAP and IHBT, and great work, or Jammu lab, IIT. Some of the labs have had much greater outreach, and BRI also had a great outreach on some of the techniques that they developed. Second is, how do we tame a lion? You know what? Lion has now realized, earlier lion had a control over the entire forest. Now new challenges have come. As you can see, the IT revolution, a lot of startups came up and disrupted the establishment. Please switch off your mic, please. So we have to now collaborate with some to fight others. We have to find startups. We have to find small companies which will partner with us and help us spread our solutions widely. In fact, the partnership division, not licensing division alone, I will call it partnership division, because partnership is more than licensing. Partnership is lending a shoulder to cry. Partnership is to understand the problem of the vendor. Partnership is to sometimes extend your contacts and your structure, infrastructure for the partner to work on, and vice versa. So we should move from licensing or technology transfer office to partnership office. And partnership framework will require collaboration with some, and I think we can then tame the lion. Peaceful coexistence required shared learning models. We should have as much as possible, a lot of solutions with open source should be shared. I have done a survey. I have brought a database of 9,000 patents that CSIR has filed, or most of them have been granted, and did an analysis. In water, there were about 13 labs working on, some filed 4 patents, some 5, some 1, some 2. But why couldn't these labs come together and look at, your filter is good, my membrane is good. For this case, you need membrane. Here you need filter. Here you need treatment. Here you need something else, precipitator. Let us combine the best element of each of us and develop a CSIR filter, not just a lab filter. And such solutions, I think, in times to come will take place. I'm quite hopeful. So pooling of best practices, pooling of best features, and then generating synthetic solutions, is the need of the hour, for which we will need collaboration. Now, big corporations, of course, have influence, and they will sometimes provide so much discount or early stages to kill our technology. They might offer it, and then our labs fall for it. Today, 90% equipments are imported. How do we create industry for scientific equipments? Obviously, those of you like CSIO and other labs which do fabricate their own solutions will have to work with the industry and get high quality control systems so that all of you will have confidence in the equipment manufactured in India, and then generate demand for them. So there are companies which have opened their patent. I gave you example of Tesla yesterday. So how do we create open innovation framework where we collaborate openly with even NITs or smaller colleges? We don't have to have our own office everywhere. We can collaborate with local colleges, and through their students, through their faculty, get our technology tested in many more places. ICR has Krishi Vigyan Kendra in every district. I've been trying. I tried with Shekhar. I arranged a meeting with Shekhar and Dr. Mahapatra, DG ICR. I said, please sit together, and why you have 200 acres of land, give just 10 acre or 5 acre to CSIR to take up their technologies for that district and show them all at this place, because farmers come there twice a year in both seasons. So CSIR technologies will also reach the same people. Farmers means they are the potential consumer of other technologies also. So we need to work out new partnerships, new arrangements by which we can showcase our technologies in all these 700 districts of our country. There are 700 districts. CSR cannot open offices. Why I'm saying this to you? I'm saying that you should think of new ways of delivery. You should think of new ways of partnership. Go to a KVK head, Krishi Vigyan Kendra's head, and even if there's no formal understanding, tell him that, sir, I have this problem, this solution. You get farmer day, about few 100,000 farmers here. Can you give me just about 50 square meter space to stand up and put in my stall, and I will like to show them this solution after they see your trial? And most people will say, look, we don't mind, come and show it. If it benefits people, what is the harm? And for all that for you to bring those 1,000 farmers together will cost a lot of money, and you don't have the fund. But for them, they're anyway coming there. Join hands. There are Krishi Melas in every university. ICSIR, IRI has, everybody. How many Krishi Melas have a stall of CSIR labs? But why not? Those are the people you are trying to reach anyway. There are cultural melas. Melas, there is the Sonpur Mela for elephants and other things. There is a Pushkar Mela for camels. Open your stall there. वहां पर एक अपना स्टॉल लगा दीजिए लैब का. अब if you have some technologies for pastoralist or you have technology for drylands, these are the people coming from drylands. Or in Eastern India, Sonpur is a very famous place. There people come to buy elephants. They will also buy your solution there. What's the problem? What I'm saying is, think creatively, find new ways of partnership, find new ways of collaboration, be hungry for results and solutions, and you will see that thing happening. So please understand, the policies are not just central government policy which need to be changed. Our own policy of the institute, policy of the scientist also need to change. Policy of the lab need to change. And you can influence these through your initiatives so that we don't get dominated by only one kind of. Now, small firms have many problems. And many of our solutions are meant for small factories, small companies, small industries. They can't do R&D as much. Even the large corporations or large companies don't do much, but even small firms can do not much, can't do much. They're busy in survival. Their day-to-day problems are so many. Can students be R&D wing of these small companies? Just as we have CSR 800, can there be a course, Prabhat, aap bolna Dr. Sangwan ko, can there be a course where each one of you to have to work with one small entrepreneur or one small cluster for your domain? Supposing you are into metals and materials, then wherever the foundries are there, one course which requires you to work with those foundries and see what problem they are facing and how, using your metallurgical and other research knowledge, you can address those problems, reduce pollution, reduce wastage, reduce energy consumption, find good solutions. Why not? Today, you know, the slag was causing a big problem in steel plants. Some people worked, I think Central Road Research Institute or buildings at one of the team, and they found the slag can be used for making roads. And in Northeast and in Himalayan region now, they are using slag to make roads which are more durable and which are very good. And the problem of slag is also getting solved because steel plants had thousands of tons of slag with no use. Nobody was taking it anyway. Now they found uses. So many times you can solve big problems of the country by doing small research and showing that this slag is a very good building material for roads. It will, in fact, roads will be more durable also. So can students open new ways of addressing these societal problems by looking at the needs? Now, this requires, when you select your problems, I remember I asked this question in one of the early classes, how many of you decided the problem yourself and how many were given the problem by their professor? And overwhelmingly, I know about 80% of you had been given a problem. When I did my master's, I chose the problem and I chose the guide. Guide did not choose, had to choose me. Afterwards, of course, I had to persuade him and accept. But this freedom should be available to students. They should be able to select a problem and they should get some time to, there should be a fund provision, contingency fund to be given in scholarship where you can visit 10 sites linked to the, or 20 sites linked to the domain in which you want to work. If you're in waste management, water, you are in nutrition, you are in diagnostic, you are in transportation, or whatever area you are working. First, study the user needs. Go to the people who are likely user of your solution. Find out where the shoe pinches. Then select. Then find out who is the professor who can help you to guide that problem. Then I think the kind of research we will have. This is not in your hand or completely, but it's useful to you. After 20 years, you will become the director of the institute. And I'm investing in that 20-year position. After 20 years, you should remember this discussion that we are having today. We should make it more liberal for the students. I'm willing to wait 20 years. What is the matter? In a life, in 5,000 years of a life of a society, 20 years matter nothing. I can wait. But after 20 years, at least, our research environment should be more liberal, more accommodative of these, more freedom to the students, and more connection of the student with society, so they can choose problems which really are, which need to be solved, and not which are easy to solve. I'm not saying we should always work only on society. I mean, industry's problem are also societal problems, and some of you should work on them. And that requires a connection with industry visits and so on. You should have that opportunity also. Every one of you should get opportunity to visit industries. Just like this, there should be another course for industrial interaction or industrial learning. The incentives that are required for innovation value chain. I mean, we should not just look at innovation, we should also look at how to build value chain. What kind of logistics are required? You know, when I went to one of the very major companies which make washing machine in Goa, they had a R&D center. And they showed me a bench or a platform where they subject their machine, the packet having the machine, to various kinds of shocks that the truck which will transport that machine on pothole-based roads and kacha roads will go through. Similarly, they will have shower on that box because rains will come on the way. They do all this testing. I don't know how many CSR labs have testing facilities for shocks that the equipment that you've designed or solution that you've designed can bear in the process of transportation. But we should have. Private sector has it. Or you tie up with the private sector which has this platform, tell them that, look, we need for 3 nights or a weekend, we need this facility. We want to test our equipment or our solution, whether it can tolerate shocks during the transportation. And that would be wonderful. So we need to work out new ways of doing. How can we stimulate innovation culture and pursuits? We need, of course, this capital. We need sometimes equity investments. We need access to labs, access to expertise, public procurement, subsidies. We should have regulatory approvals, reliability, some funds to tackle problem on short-term basis, as it happened during COVID. We had no solution for diagnostics in 4 or 5 months. A lot of startups came up with diagnostic kits, indigenous diagnostic kits for COVID. And we should reduce regulatory pressure. You know that startups have been given earlier 5-year holiday, now 10 years holiday from compliance from labor laws and many other laws. And there should be faster testing, faster approval for societal technologies developed by public sector. We should not be in the same queue, as others are. What are the support system? Many things have been done very well by government. Some need to be done. Some have been done, some need to be done. For example, GEM portal. The government e-marketplace has made it possible for government to procure things from this portal without tender because they have been approved. Once they are uploaded, they are approved. The prices are checked and they're approved. That saves the time in procuring many things. In some cases, of course, you still have to go to tender, but many cases you don't have to. So advanced public procurement. Now, when you give, sorry, just 1 second. Let me see what happens. Yeah. So public procurement is not enough. Let's say you give an order for 10,000 pieces to a small entrepreneur who has licensed your technology, but he doesn't have the working capital for manufacturing 10,000 pieces. He has only capacity of 1,000 pieces. Government says, I've given you an order. It's your problem. Banks don't give loan to a startup. He does no collateral. Now, this is a value of death. A good technology given to a good entrepreneur is not selling because he has no working capital. Now, these are policy gaps. As a lab scientist, as a stakeholder in this process, you will have to write to the government. You will have to write to that government that not only that you should, if the banks are not giving loan, give him some advance, 20% advance, 25% advance, so that he can make it and deliver to you. We can vouchsafe for his integrity, for his reliability, but you should do that. Who will do that? Who will do that? How do we create horizontal networks? What are the incentives for circular economy? If you develop, if there are no incentives, how your waste management technologies flow to the industry? If industry has no incentive to reduce waste or reduce energy consumption, of course, some of it is useful for them for profit purpose, but some of it is required for public purpose. And there, some incentives are required. And who will create those incentives unless we push for them? There's a government, there's a global order. Exim Bank does that. Export-Import Bank. So Exim Bank provides bank guarantees to some cases. But if you should know what Exim Bank does, so that if your licensee gets a global order, you should help him to reach Exim Bank and get him those support. You may not know about it. Sir, मेरा काम तो technology development है. मुझे क्यों बता रहे हैं आप ये सब बातें? किसको बताऊं? Who will solve this problem? Tell me. Will that entrepreneur have all the knowledge that is available? I think one session is not enough for you to understand all these complexities, but my suggestion is read a little more, talk to vendors, talk to the license users or licensees of your technologies, of your lab, and find out their problem. You will pick up all these skills. You will pick up all this knowledge, how to address these questions. You have to go beyond your domain knowledge and become a facilitator for getting ideas flow, solutions flow to the user, ultimate user. So support system is something where we'll have to do much more work, and you will have to improve your skill. NISPER can help, of course, in some of these things. Those students should work on these kind of support systems and educate the natural and physical scientists about how these gaps can be filled up. That is the way proper synergy should happen, but hopefully it will happen someday. Let's see. This is something I want to briefly tell you because it itself takes an hour, but I will just briefly mention to you. This is a model I developed 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. And the idea is that when you have a lot of enterprises working with different technologies that you have given them, how can you make them more efficient? And one way to make them more efficient is by making them to cooperate, not just compete. How do they cooperate? By becoming mutual franchisee. For example, I'm in the water treatment, but I'm also in the only physical treatment, but you have a technology for biological treatment. That means for E. coli or for other viruses or bacteria. Somebody comes to me for my technology and I said, look, my technology is good. IMT will say I have a good solution for your physical removal of iron and other problem, but for biological, you need another technology. And here are 10 vendors or 10 startups, which ICBG or some other labs of ours have given technologies to them. They have got solutions. I would recommend that you talk to them and complement the solution that we are giving with a solution that will also make your water bacteria free. Now, this is what needs to be done. After all, the consumer needs not just iron-free water, the consumer needs safe drinking water. And safe drinking water needs both physical and biological contaminants to be taken. But your lab works on physical contaminant, but another lab works on biological contaminant. Why can't we work together? So we promote their technology. They will promote our technology. When somebody comes to them for biological, they will say, well, you should also take the physical contaminant removal technology, and that IMT has, or somebody NIRI has, or somebody else has. So it is very important that as a scholar, please try to see where complementarity exists between technologies and try to promote that spirit of complementing, making a portfolio of solutions such that the search cost, I told you about transaction cost, search cost of the licensee, of the entrepreneur, of the industry goes down for getting complementary solution. उनको एक लैब 30 लैब में जाएंगे क्या पता करने के लिए किसके पास क्या solution है. So second way is to make a pooled catalog within a domain. So water, all techniques of water should be pulled in one PPT or one drive, one folder, and give it to him. Share कर लो उसके साथ में. भाई देखो हमारी टेक्निक तुम ले लो. साथ में हमारे पास वाटर के अलावा वाटर के साथ डील करने वाली there are 25 other technologies that are mature and available for licensing. नजर डाल लेना इनके ऊपर काम आ जाए तुम्हारे शायद. हो गया. Pooling of inventory. I mean, when many raw materials are such that many labs need, many entrepreneurs need, can they pool their inventory so they can negotiate better price and they can get better terms? And there are many more models. I will stop, not going to detail. Those of you who are interested in this, write to me. I'll send you a paper on that. Now, before we transfer the technologies to the society, we obviously have to test it before application. And what do we need to test? We need to get it tested by multiple users, multiple locations, multiple iterations. That means several cycles of that solution. So we know for which area, for which people, for which kind of conditions my solution is ideal. I will not say it will work everywhere. So yesterday we learned 10 ppm. All right. Then you looked at the map. Okay, these are the number of places where less than 10 ppm. All right, this is the technology for those. Then you write a letter to the collector of those districts and tell them, look, in your district, according to our data that we have got from public resources, you have less than 10 ppm iron, but it's still more than the requirement, the tolerable level of the human beings. So we have a technology. You might like to encourage local entrepreneurs to license it. The cost is very low of licensing and provide better drinking facility, quality water in your district. Now, that is the kind of communication we'll have to do to market this technology, so that it should not happen that we have more entrepreneurs in some region, no entrepreneur in a backward region. Unfortunately, the regions which have more ecological problems and economic problems, sometimes, don't mind my saying this, but I'm going to say this, sometimes do not get very motivated officers, because government sometimes uses these places as punishment posting. Now, this is very unfortunate. The result is that officer is not motivated, collector is not motivated, and he also doesn't interest. But these are reality of our country. What do? We have to work with that fellow and request him, persuade him. लेटर लिखेंगे, फोन करेंगे, मेल भेजेंगे, और किसी लोकल पर्सन से करवाएंगे, कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे, so that somehow we make a dent. Persistence is the name of the game. In public systems, you have to persist, persist, and persist. It takes a long time. Don't get frustrated, I'll quickly say. We have to also find risk inherent in the solution. Not everybody can bear the risk. Risk means errors, sometimes random errors, some are systematic errors. And this is well known. Any solution, no solution is completely risk-free. But which are the factors which cause risk? Some of them are maintenance-related factors, some will be operational-related factors, some will specify them and tell the potential users, these are the potential risks. If you don't take care of the raw material quality, if the clay that you use in the filter is not of this quality, you can have this risk. If you don't use the the sawdust that you're using is not of this quality. If you're using this wood, it may not have the good quality. You should use this or this kind of wood. I mean, for example, the hardwood and the softwood do not have the same property in the dust. The eucalyptus is softwood. Tamarind is hardwood. Naturally, both woods are different in properties. We should specify, if you're asking people to make them, which wood we should use. This harder the wood, smaller the cell size. Softer the wood, larger the cell size. Trees which grow faster have soft wood. Trees which take longer to grow are hardwood. Very simple way of understanding. If teak takes 60 years to grow to the same height that eucalyptus grows in 4 years or 5 years, you can understand why eucalyptus is soft and the tamarind or teak is hard. So, but we should explain these. Otherwise, sometimes solution doesn't work because we did not specify the conditions properly. The exogenous and endogenous variables that may influence the quality of our technology. Some are intrinsic to the technology and some are exogenous to the technology. We should also explain that. Where from the materials come, where food you target, gender, environmental issues, circular economy, what is the waste that we produce? For example, in arsenic, we have still not solved the problem of arsenic that is concentrated in the filter. Where should I dispose it of? It's very, very toxic substance. Do we know that? Do you have an answer to that? I don't know the answer. Maybe there are some ways in which it can embed in some kind of hard materials and then bury in the ground. I have no idea. But this is a problem I've heard from those who have used this filter. Sir, kahan dalein isko? Where should we dispose of the waste? It's going to come back into our food chain and our water chain. So the circular economy implication of the technology will be very important. Any policy change required, of course, will be there. Then what kind of test we can do, which kind of regions we have, we can identify what kind of agreements we should make, whether there's a need for liability insurance, coverage needed for the same. Are there constraints? If somebody is getting a license but not working it out, should we withdraw the license after that time? Will you help in getting the testing done of the output of the industry? Because industry has taken your technology, but if they're not following the quality control, your technology gets bad name, not because technology was wrong, because the user is not using properly. So randomly, sometimes it is desirable to test the final product of the technology to make sure that nobody brings bad name to the lab. And of course, if you have DIY solution, you should make videos, manual, online, whatever support you can give to people to understand. So manuals should be more properly, as we discussed, and Debrata was saying, yes, the people so that they can use it properly. Good. Those kind of things will help technology diffuse wider. We should also, just 1 minute. I think I should stop here because we should leave some time for you to ask questions. But these are just different ways in which we can do different methods of testing and also compatibility with regulatory framework. All of you should know what regulatory framework is operating on the solution that you're working. You cannot develop the solution and then look at the regulatory framework. In fact, regulatory framework should be looked at the day you write synopsis of your thesis, if you're going to develop some user-led, user-based solution, so that you incorporate all the conditions in your solution which will be required for regulatory approval of that solution. In medical science, in ICMR, they would do that. But in our sciences, let's say chemical or physical sciences also, or biological sciences, we should also do the same thing. Some labs do that. I mean, those which are working on human solutions would obviously know what ethical practices are, what are the guidelines of ICMR for human subjects, and so on and so forth. Those are known. But do we know for the same thing for automobile sector, for electronic sector, or for other sectors? It will be useful to know that. I will strongly encourage you to read whatever standards apply to us. Many times we don't read the standards. I will appeal to all of you to know what standards are there. Bureau of Indian Standard has a standard in different sectors. Find out the current standards. Sometimes you have to get the standard changed for your solution. And I'll give you a small example, which when America faced a problem that the automobile sector, Japanese cars were overtaking the American cars in the marketplace. There was an Indian lady who headed the Automobile Research Institute of US. She called the major automakers and asked them, what is one factor in which we are better than Japanese? The automakers discussed and they said, emission control. She said, how much better? Those so much better. You know what she did? She changed the standards and made it suitable. They were higher and better than what Japanese car had. Overnight, she converted. And since standards are non-discriminatory, they will apply to domestic user and the international users. They are WTO compatible. And the American automobile industry came back into the business. So many times the standards play a very important role. Unfortunately, I can say that without hesitation, that many of the standards are copied from European standards. European standard was designed for European solutions and European conditions, temperate environment. Ours is a tropical environment. We have a different constraint. We have more dust in the air. We have more problems. So our standards will have to be different. And our indigenous solutions must be given advantage. If they are better than the international standards, then they will be given advantage. This kind of, let's say, preference is WTO compatible because you will apply those standards to the international companies' product and also Indian companies. They're non-discriminatory. Any non-discriminatory tariff or non-discriminatory regulation is WTO compatible. The only one condition is there, it should not discriminate against the import. No, we are not discriminating. We are applying it to the domestic customer also same, the domestic manufacturer also same. So try to see the standards that are there so that when you develop solutions, when you develop portfolio of solutions, you are able to take different kinds of factors into account. I will skip this and mention that we should try to see how we, there are different ways in which different SDGs can be resolved by looking at, for example, challenge award. Railways gave a challenge that their platforms were not at uniform height. So people, while boarding the train, face different difficulties on different platforms. So they said, can somebody find a solution that unequal height of the platforms can be compensated by some device by which passengers feel it easier to board the train? Now, that was a good challenge. Likewise, labs can design challenges, work with the companies, with industry sector with which you are working, and you say, look, we don't have solution in this space, but if this solution is developed, then our solution of this kind will also be will synergize very well. Why don't you design a challenge award and you work with them and help them to design challenge awards? That is very useful. Different kinds of, you sometimes can work together with the policymakers and solve problems together. We can also, I've been going to Lavasana, Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy of Administration at Mussoorie since '92. And we do not have enough content of scientific knowledge in their training programs. I think we should train administrators more carefully, more painstakingly about what potential our science and technology system has. And this is something that DGCSR will have to take up with the Cabinet Secretary and ensure that every bureaucrat of this country knows the capability of our CSIR, ICR, ICMR system, so that whenever they develop policies, whenever they develop regulations, whenever they develop programs, they take into account the input from the scientists. Today, the influence of scientists on public policy is not as much as it should happen. Our associations, and I'm a member of several of them, whether INSA or NAS or others, are not using their clout enough to influence the policies, unfortunately. But I would think that when you will become fellows and when you will become Bhatnagar fellows and you will have other credentials and directors of the institutes and so on and so forth, you will be able to bring about a change. At least at that time, I'm working for that time. I'll stop here. I'll skip the other section and leave it open for you. We have some 10 minutes left. Any one of you has any comment, question about, I have made a lot of demands on you today, what I think all of you should do, but what do you think is not possible? What do you think is possible? What do you think is already taking place? If some of you are already reading standards, please tell me. I would like to know that. Is there any lab where the guides encourage you to read standards in your domain of your solution, your thesis domain? Anybody? Anybody has read the standards in your domain? Huh? Any example? Anybody?
Like ASTM standards, like that.
ASTM standards, yes.
For characterizations, we will be going through the ASTM standards.
Yeah,
for
but
some instruments.
those are the protocol standards.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about the standards of Bureau of Indian Standards, which are applicable for industries. Yeah. So when you develop industrial technologies, those standards apply. You know? For example, there are safety standards. There are all kinds of standards. So yes, Chandni, did you want to say something? There are water quality standards. There are emission standards, isn't it? There are different kinds of standards. So when you develop a solution, those standards will have to be complied with. Regulatory approval will hinge on those standards, whether your technology is compatible with those standards or not. And consumers also would like to know whether you are following those standards. So standards is one thing. I would also wish, of course, all of you should review the patents in your domain. That's another part. So that, how many of you have read patents in your domain? Just let me know for the sake of, how many of you have read at least 10, 20 patents in your thesis related domain? Anybody?
So myself, one or two, that is also half of the patents.
But let me tell you that unless you read at least 50 patents, you read hundreds of papers, isn't it? You read hundreds of papers. This patent is unpublished paper. You understand? Some people file patent and then publish. Publication is 3 years, 4 years behind. Patent is only 18 months behind. Please understand that. Application is only 1 month behind, because after 18 months, every application is put in the open domain for filing, for inviting objections. So every patent application is only 18 months, maximum 18 months behind the invention. Yes, Chandni.
Sir, I want to make a compost reactor. So I have referred aerobic compost reactor. I have referred patent about aerobic compost reactor around 100 to 150.
Wonderful. Now I will tell you one thing more. You know that we made a database of 1 million abundant patents. Abundant patents are those which are not in force anymore, but they were granted at one time by USPTO. Use that database also. Techpedia.in/patent or gyan.org/patent.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And those patents are free for you. You can just use them. Go look at the number which is relevant. Go to the USPTO, download the entire full patent, because we have put only abstracts of the patent. You can get the full patent free of cost. All patents are free of cost, downloadable. get it done. So you will have equal amount of knowledge of the patents also. The reason I'm saying this is that when we work for society or small entrepreneurs, the quality we will have to deliver is same as for industry. We cannot say that we are working for poor people, so a rough solution will work. No. The quality of life of the soul or life force in a poor person or in a rich person is same. The child of a poor person deserves the same quality of life as the child of a rich person. So our traditions cannot discriminate in terms of quality and rigor when it comes for societal purposes. So I would say the kind of rigor we bring in our industrial technology should also apply to our societal technology. We cannot have two standards of accountability. That's what I'm saying. But it will be useful if you did that. So please look at the regulatory. So when you're doing Chandni work on compost, look at the BIS standards on compost, if there are any, and see whether your compost will meet those regulatory standards. And if there are none, try to get one formed. There are different committees of Bureau of Indian Standards in which many of the scientists of various labs work as experts. Write to them, say that we would like to contribute to creating a standard for compost. In this country, anybody can sell anything. Niri should take lead in creating standards for compost.
Yes, sir.
So that heavy metals, you know that many of the sewage-based compost causes havoc with our system because that compost has batteries, has lead, has many other heavy metals. Then that compost goes to the field for the crops uptake that heavy metal. Then it comes to our food chain and we get those heavy metals. Isn't it? So you should create, and Niri should insist on getting standard created, and nobody who does not meet that standard should be allowed to sell that compost in the marketplace. That's the way we should move towards our societal care. Any question? Any other question? Do you think today was a tough day because I think I may have added a lot of dimensions of policy in very little time, but I would suggest that remain in touch. If you feel that some of you need to discuss certain things, we can fix time. I'll be happy to discuss with you in group, either lab-based group or inter-lab-based group on specific themes where you think you need to brainstorm and find a little more about either policy changes or institutional changes, because our purpose is common, that we want society to benefit from your solutions. There's only one life to live. That's my firm belief. I don't believe in next life and I don't believe in past life. There's one life to live and we have to do what we wish to do in this life. So why not make most of this life? And if we can do that, yes, Pratibha, please go ahead.
Sir, I had a question related to my project, which we will be doing in a group. So actually, our project which we will be doing, it will be a questionnaire study. So will it be okay to just do a questionnaire study in one area or in different areas?
See, it depends upon what happened. One of you has there's an echo coming. Pratibha, switch off your mic. Just switch off your mic phone. Now it's okay. So Pratibha, what I'm saying is that it depends upon the nature of the phenomena. As you know, the sampling design depends upon the degree of heterogeneity in the population. So let's say if the phenomena that you are studying is distributed unevenly, and there are some 3 or 4 different regions or different pockets or different groups where distinct differences are there. It may be age related, it may be gender related, it may be income related, it may be settlement related, it may be location related. Whatever the norm of, whatever the basis of differences is, then your sample should capture the diversity. That's the very simple rule of sampling. So a survey will capture the population characteristics. Of course, sample is a sample. So sample should capture the population characteristics, and the unit of sampling will depend upon the degree of heterogeneity in the population. So you have to divide the population into, let us say, subzones, and then take appropriate sample from each subzone to capture the population characteristics. That is a simple rule. Any other question, friends? If not, any other suggestion, any other feedback, you can send feedback to me by email, but can we spend 5 minutes? I'll take 5 minutes extra today. Any feedback on how can this course become more useful to you? Any suggestion? Be bold and be critical. Don't tell me it's very good. That doesn't help me. If you find flaws, we can remove them. We can improve that. But if you say it's very good, it's of no consequence. So don't say that. Anybody can give some suggestions. You thought some topics were covered very fast, or some things but needed more time. How can we make it more effective?
Sir, I can suggest one thing, sir.
Yeah, please go. Please switch on your videos. Before you leave this class, I should see all of you together. Please switch on your videos. Please switch on your videos. All of you, please switch on your videos. Switch on your videos. Yes, Sravina, bolo.
Sir, actually, the innovations, whatever are commercialized, you have shown some of the examples. I think it would be better in all the areas if you show that the innovations. For example, you have taken in the agricultural field as well as in the mechanical field mostly. Like that in the chemical field, what are the different startups have been coming up? Like that, if you have shown us on all the relevant areas.
Or if not all, as many as possible.
As many as possible. I
agree. This we will do. We'll do next time. Because we have a lot of Gyati awards in all disciplines of engineering.
Yes.
So life sciences and non-life sciences. So at least those, this was my mistake. We should have brought some of those Gyati startups to our class. Yes. Radhika?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm Radhika Sood from Niri. So, sir, my suggestion is that the timings, actually mostly 5:30 to 6. We are mostly in lab. So what happens is that we are not able to get that half an hour discussion time, and then we join after 6. So if
why didn't you say that in the first class? You could have easily made it on 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir, we tried to manage.
I had no idea. You are telling me today?
Yes, sir. So we tried to manage it, and luckily we were able to.
Why couldn't you suggest in the first class that, sir, if you want us to be relaxed and be with you with full mind, then start at 6 o'clock or 6:15. We could have done it at 6:15. मुझे क्या problem है? मैं तो अकेला रहता हूँ.
So
I can do
no, sir, but
8 o'clock also. I can do 9 o'clock also. मुझे क्या दिक्कत है? No problem.
Yes, sir. So
but
that is the suggestion.
I'll keep in mind. I'll keep Prabhat. This is something our collective mistake. आपने भी नहीं बताया, मेरे को भी नहीं पता था इस बात का. आज पता चल रहा है. Next time we will have it from. So you suggest that we should do it from 6 o'clock or 6:15?
Yes, sir. 6:15 would be fine from.
Because then you get some time to reach your dorm.
Yes, sir.
Your hostel. Okay.
Yes,
next
sir.
time we will have.
Sir, I would also like to discuss something about the project also.
Project के लिए बाद में बात करेंगे. You send me mail. अभी जनरल बात नहीं. अभी feedback को फोकस रखेंगे. अभी
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Shubhra.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, the work that you have done so far, lot many problem you have collected, lot many solutions you have a lot of data. So, sir, please, I would say take half an hour class or something in some class, if we can see those problem and solution and the database that you have. I understand that all of the things are there in the website and some web links are already there. But still, it will be a nice understanding because you must have done some segregation based on the area and yes, sir. That's also my suggestion.
No, I will do that someday. Let us have a voluntary group of those of you who are interested, and we can. Prabhat will help us plan a session someday. Any one of you is interested in knowing about whole range of databases that we have. We'll be very happy. I'm putting down many databases on the chat, which are open source. All of these databases are open source, and you can use them freely without any permission required. So techpedia.in, gyan.org, Gyanidhi, then srishti.org/WSA, which has a lot of database on medicinal plants, farmers' innovations. We have also a database which made for UNDP grid.undp.org.in. So please use all of these, but I'll be very happy to share more. Feel free. Anybody else has any suggestion? But this is a good point. I mean, we should have done that. I'll keep in mind. Any other suggestion, please?
Sir, I have one suggestion.
Please.
Actually, I want to say like this course should be compulsory to attend during the first or second year of the PhDs, because those students will have more time to think about how they can utilize this knowledge in the course for the betterment of the society. Because I can give my example. I am already in the 6th year of the PhD, and no one was clear whether I have to attend the course or not. Means at my side, student academic offices were not clear. Lastly,
no, what has happened is, I will tell you, Prabhat, correct me if I'm wrong, that once it was made a necessary part of the curriculum, then every student may have been required to attend it one way or the other. And therefore, some senior students who had not done it earlier, maybe who had not done a CSIR-Unmet project, maybe they felt that they should also benefit from it. That might have been the reason. But you are absolutely right that it is far more useful at the early stage. But if you are at the latest stage, then if you are going to finish your thesis and if you are going to transfer your technology, then the last few sessions may have been useful to you also. Maybe.
Yes, sir. It is helpful, but it will be more fruitful when we attend it in early years.
No, sure.
In future.
I agree. Any other feedback? Any other suggestion?
I would like to.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm Priyanka from CSIR.
Yes. Yes.
So what all problems you have found out among small scale, some organization or small, from pioneer, those who have started and they face some problem which involve analysis from scientists and students. If you can make some group of them, like what they want from us, and later before starting the coursework, like you can list out and the labs which are working in according to that, so they can take up that work before only, and by the end of the course they can solve those problems and come up with a good ideas.
Priyanka, I wish you had mentioned this in the first class. I'm feeling so sad now that I didn't do this, but it was so easy to do. For example, you remember we discussed about the tea bud plucking 2 leaf and a bud. Now, this motion against the gravity, one can simply design a small hand-based, either a motorized bowl in which you put the leaves, press a button, and then through suction it goes into the basket behind, so that I don't have to work against the gravity 3,000 times. A tea estate worker works, and most of them are women.
Aware of many benefits.
No, you are right. You're absolutely right. And we have such a huge list of specific sectors, construction sector, every sector. We know these problems which can be, which should have been shared. Well, my mistake, but I and Anamika will discuss it. But it's a good point, very good point, that in the beginning itself, we should share that. I wrote today to some students of CFTRI that, look, if one group wanted to work on one plant, are they there in the class? I don't know. If you're there, please let me know. So then I suggested that, look, we are working in Northeast as well as in Jammu Kashmir, and we could send you more plants for which you can find out the characteristics and also help in finding out their unique advantages, so that product can be developed by the women groups which are going to collect these plants from the roadside or wild or their field or their mountains. So that demand we still have. We would like to have a lot of bio enterprises coming up in the regions where, unfortunately, the economy is very depressed because nothing gets added value here. So if any one of you is interested in either microbial or phytochemical analysis, then we'll be very happy to get the samples sent to you within a week. And from Sikkim or Nagaland or Jammu Kashmir, and those of you who wish to work on them, still work on them, can be facilitated. That will be very useful. But it's a good point, Priyanka. You made a very good point. We will write it down, and this is very important. This is a very good point. We should do that. Any other suggestion? Any other feedback? Any other suggestion to make this course more meaningful, more useful? Anything you didn't like about the course? You thought that was a waste of time? Be honest and frank. Having been a teacher for such a long time, I can withstand the worst possible criticism. Don't worry. It is always good to be impolite sometimes. Say straight. It will save time and it will be quick. Anything that you didn't like, anything that you felt was completely avoidable. Anybody? Or you felt that we could have given more time to something than other. I mean, the distribution of time to different topics. Do you have any suggestion? You can write to me also, both of us later on. Give us your feedback as to how we could have changed the timing. For example, we got one day some innovators. If you think that another day we should have got the startups, we could manage that. We could add a session on, and that those startups will be a little more like you, because they will be more, they were in lab at one time and then they set up their enterprises. So we could do that next time. Those who are working on socially relevant technologies could be brought, and low-cost solutions, low-cost socially applicable solutions, those people could be brought. For example, there is a person whom we gave Kathy Award who used the waste of ceramic glasses. Ceramic waste, you know, there are a lot of tiles and toilet seats and other things which are broken. And they then used a polymer and made it a reusable material, which is a very serious problem because ceramic clusters have huge waste problem. You must have seen it keeps lying, and ceramic doesn't degrade. You know that when archaeological research is done, ceramic is the signature of time. When we find out which era it was, we use the ceramic of that time. So ceramics don't degrade for the next 1,000 years, 2,000 years, they will remain just like that. So we should have shown you those kind of problems and solutions. So that would have been very useful. Kalyani, I will be very happy to share my paintings with you someday. This is something I don't really talk. I have a poetry blog and I don't have paintings on any one place, but if you are interested, send me a mail and I'll share with you some of them. And painting blog, you will have to discover. I will not tell you. If you discover, you're welcome to read them. And if you don't discover, it's your wish. Because that is I write for myself. So that's all right. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much. God bless you. And we will have your presentations on 25th, 29th, and 1st. Try to make them as meaningful as you can. Try to make them as impactful as you can. It is not the duration of time as much as the intensity of your engagement. With more intensity, you can achieve more in less time. With less intensity, even if you have 1 year, it wouldn't make a difference. So thank you so much. God bless. And all the best wishes from us. And I certainly feel that you will make us proud someday with your achievements. God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
So much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Bye,
you.
sir.
God bless. God bless. God bless. And